Okay, I think we're live. Let's give it a minute for get some people in here. Let me get set up, but we will start the stream momentarily. Um, got a lot to cover today. There's a lot going on.
Yes. Basically, crypto is in the tank again. Got the tech companies are all kind of struggling. All the data center stocks, chip stocks, all the software stocks are getting hit by all the AI developments, um, basically making them obsolete. Yeah, it's been a pretty interesting few days, that's for sure. You got the metals coming off highs. It's basically just a risk off environment, I guess. Trying to look and see what's even up.
Yeah, can you see my chat?
Can I see your chat?
Can you look at the chat box on the stream?
Yeah, I can see the YouTube chat. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. If anybody says anything, I'll let you know.
you can see my message though.
Good morning.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Start here in a minute. Why does it say gaming? What's that about? It says gaming in YouTube. I don't know what that why it says that.
You didn't know you were a gaming
Well, I don't know why
streamer?
it says gaming. Yeah. But I'll just give it a few minutes and let some people join. I know there's be hopefully a few from VIP that'll come in. And yeah, it's absolutely killing my analysis right now because we've already made a lower low on Bitcoin, and it's killing literally what I would like to say. Um, so maybe we'll come back to Bitcoin a bit later. I'm trying to see where I can how I can check and see. Okay, here we go. I need like two more windows, seriously. But yeah, if you could let me know in chat if you're from Discord, like if you're from VIP especially, can you please chat in the box and let me know who you are, because I don't think your name is gonna match up to what's in Discord. You know what I mean? But go ahead and obviously let us know that you're in chat. I am probably gonna get started. Take a look at and also in chat, let me know what you want to look at. I've already got a few requests in Discord to go over, which I will. I'll go over a little bit. I'll go over in a few minutes. Just want to run through a few things, I think, while we kind of let people join the stream. So I won't actually start with Bitcoin because I think that's the analysis that I've been waiting to kind of give. So I'll touch on some other stuff again when there's hopefully more people a bit later.
Are you saying we're gonna get a low on the stream? Is that like a trade alts guarantee?
Might have just seen the low right now, actually. I'm just kidding. No, I mean, look, like on Bitcoin, short and sweet of it is it's lower until it's not. Like that's I mean, I could probably end the video there. But
It's nice talking to you guys.
all we've had is lower, like lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows. The trend is incredibly bearish, and the thing I'll say is this has been a scalper's paradise. Which I'm sorry, this is what my chart looks like right now. Like I've been trading this like a ton, but as far as looking for macro type long term high time frame lows, I do think that we're coming into an interesting region. Like we are you know, in an area where I think that we could kind of establish that. It's just highly unlikely to be something that's going to happen in one day. You know what I mean? It's not. It is very extremely unlikely to just V reverse out of here and we. You know, it's very unlikely to be the case. Like we're, if anything, we're probably going to spend, you know, a significant amount of time down here building a base. There's likely going to be a range to trade, and then you know it'll be a bit more. You know, I think like the picture will be a bit clearer for the mid to high time frames, but on the lower time frames, it's just it's extreme weakness, like we haven't seen in a little while. It's just lower and lower and lower and lower and lower. So it's like if you're stepping in front of this, um, be careful. You know, that's like this is price action is extremely one directional. It's low. It's moving down. So if you can't tell, it's it's brutal. But in terms of, you know, again, in terms of momentum, momentum's obviously extremely bearish. Sentiment's extremely bearish. Kind of like when you get both of those together, you know, you got to be a little bit careful about where we are. And I do think that we're in an area of general support, which I'll cover a bit later. But I mean, that's like my, you know, that's like my quick Bitcoin thoughts. But you know, like obviously I'm gonna get into the chart a bit later and cover all of it, but it's, you know, that's kind of what I'd say about it. You know, like I do want to run through just very quickly about this. So kind of like, again, like what I think this is what I would say is like best case scenario for this year. And this is something that I covered on the last stream. Like if I was gonna identify a target for this year that is like best case scenario, this would probably be it. Um, you know, like basically like look, not much has really changed. I do think like we are seeing, you know, Nasdaq a bit different, but we are seeing some material weakness across the board. And it's not just, you know, Bitcoin's been weak for a while now, but we are starting to see some weakness in stocks. We're seeing quite a bit of sell-offs in you know, in a fair amount of names. Um, and you know, I would be a bit careful. And I do think, you know, if I had to pick, you know, again, I'm not like overly bearish here. Again, if you look at this, not too much has changed. We actually just we did take out kind of this low or today. But you know, like kind of like what do I think? You know, like I would say like I'm not expecting a like some massive crash from here necessarily, but I do think that we could get a nice pullback. Like we could get a nice pullback into either something like this anchored VWAP, maybe, you know, maybe even yearly, like this yearly pivot down here. I could kind of see that materializing, but it's really hard to be overly bearish as long as we're kind of in this area. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like we're it's still kind of holding up. Like I mean, it is holding up. It's holding up okay. Nasdaq, this is a bit more. You know, the range here is obviously a bit larger, and this certainly does look like it wants to come down a bit more, which is not. It's very unlikely to help Bitcoin, right? So you gotta think like Nasdaq has another, you know, another 3% to the downside or something like that to kind of come back and at least test the bottom of this range. That is not going to bode well for Bitcoin. It's very unlikely. Um, so yeah, and I guess like that's kind of how I would tie that into Bitcoin. Is again, like if we have continued weakness here, especially if we see a move below this range low, then you know what I'm saying. It's just it's crypto is not probably not going to do very well. Um, so yes, it's, you know, I would say again, this kind of stab down that we had lower, we had a bit of a buyback off of there. It's not overly bad, but I do, you know, I wouldn't be too surprised to see a bit more of a pullback. Kind of curious like what this looks like. So yeah, I mean, like you almost got your equilibrium test here, like just coming back to your key June. So maybe, you know, again, does this support hold? If not, yeah, I could see us start to probe a bit lower. You know, this is definitely like I think here on the daily time frame, especially, this has been a pretty good one. You know, once we got kind of like our V-shaped tariff reversal off of here, and it's held supports extremely well. You even got your bullish TK recross here, and price has held up. But what I would look for here to kind of, I would say, open up the floodgates, if you will, for like a significant move lower is something similar like this where you get your move inside a cloud. Like that's kind of the first sign of concern. Um, and as you can see here, like it came inside a cloud, closed back above, kind of like saved itself here, and then you got a nice push off of that, right? So that's kind of like what I would look for here is I wouldn't sound the alarm on, wouldn't sound the alarm here unless we get back in cloud. Then it's like much more, okay, we might have something here, be a bit careful. If we start to trade below cloud, and you can see like your it's kind of tightening up here in the Kumo, right? It's tightening up here. You start trading below cloud, then I would be yeah. I'd be a little bit more concerned. Let's just say that. And again, like you have not been um you can see here again, like you move below cloud, you even got your mean reversion and you got a huge dump after that, right? Like I this is kind of like what you can expect when that happens. And I don't think this would be any different necessarily. I'm not saying we're gonna have some crazy, 35% dump or something like that. I mean, we could, but what I would be looking for to really like get on the bearish side for ES in particular is I want to see number one, us move into cloud. That would be a sign of like, okay, be a little bit careful here. But then we start trading below, and especially if this flips bearish, you get your bearish Kumo twist here. I mean, it's like you already see your Kijun is going to come up over the over the next week or so. See that get a lot closer to which is going to give you a potential TK cross. So just again, not overly scary, but getting there. This is closer. Okay, this is what I mean. So like, this is actually a really good example of that. Now, I do think that, in terms of Ichimoku, like you still again have a beautiful trend, right? And this is much closer. So that's actually a good example of what I was trying to explain on ES is this is much closer to that happening. And again, you get inside cloud, you look at where where is the support been today? Bottom of cloud, right? Not too big of a surprise there. Kind of like a natural place for this to have a bit of support. But you look at you look at where your Senku spans are. Like this is I guess like what you can hope for here is that this now you try to keep the bull hat on, right? Like you're hoping that this is just a range, which can happen. But in a nice trend like this, strong, of course I get the alerts, sorry about that. But nice trending up move. We're range, forming a nice range here. Totally fine. Below cloud, concerning. Below range low, not good. Basically how it would, especially if you get your bearish Kumo twist here, it's looking like over the next week or so, you're gonna get a bearish TK cross. While you're in cloud, again, that's a sign that I would be a bit concerned about that. You start to open and close candles below cloud, bearish TK cross, bearish Kumo twist. You get the point. This is then like this bull trend is over, right? So I mean, basically here, when you had your nice trending move, your bearish TK cross here was basically your sign to exit, right? Like that's like your one of your signs to say, okay, trend is done. Which is correct because since this has happened, you've just been range bound, right? So like the trend for the most part is it's you're range bound. Like this is trendless at this current time. You still have bullish bias, of course. You're still your TK lines here are still in like a bullish posture, even though you're below it technically. Cloud's still bullish, but you literally closed inside a cloud very next day. Which is today, testing the bottom of it, and you're praying that this holds, basically. Because as long as you're below here, again, over the next few days, obviously tomorrow's the last trading day, but let's say going into next week, you're very likely to get a bearish TK cross here, unless we get like a really sizable bounce for some reason, which I just don't really see that happening. Close below this, Oh boy, not good. So that's kind of what I would say. You know, Nasdaq is kind of leading where ES could be. Okay, so like this is kind of like ES. I have to keep flip flopping back and forth, but ES is kind of like stage one. Still okay. See a bit of warning signs here, but nothing bad. Like nothing like that's overly that concerning. You go to Nasdaq, it paints a bit of a different picture. Not and not only this, like you're below. So again, you made a nice, nice another attempt at your range high here. You came down here, tried to bounce off of your range EQ, and then you close below it. What's the next place that you're looking is your low, right? I mean, we can even like pull. It's not, pull like here, like you're below the value area low. But in another pull, kind of like just from like back here, you're still below your value area low. Any kind of like close like this is just it just seems pretty likely that we are gonna come down and at least test this range low again, unless this can kind of pick up here and start to push back above, 25 1, but basically like I would say above this value area low. Even that's not the best sign, but in terms of a range, right? That's like from a volume standpoint, that's what you'd want to see in order to try to like hope that this is a good low and that we can at least come back and test the high side of the range, something like that. I wouldn't hold my breath personally, but I always like to incorporate other metrics as well, which I think like I think volume is I obviously use that a lot in my analysis. So yeah, anyway, it's not great. It's again, Nasdaq is kind of maybe showing the way of where you could expect the rest of the market to go. Crypto's already long gone. It's already long gone, which I'll show you. Like we can just take a very quick look at Bitcoin again, and I mean this is what Bitcoin looks like. Like it's just pure pain, right? So
Mhm.
I mean it is what it is, right? It's literally just pure pain. So anyway, oh, here we go. Hold on.
Sir,
Oh,
my
nice.
family.
Sorry, I got to. I'm seeing Anti 45. Hey, I got in 3 comments years ago. Thanks to your original video series. Now I'm constantly doing $1,000 to $4,000 a day and realized profits. Thank you. Wow, man, that's excellent. It's amazing. Nice
Yeah,
work.
sign me up for
That's
that.
huge. Like, yeah, like very nice. Yeah, outstanding.
Sir, can I copy trade you?
No, it's awesome. That's great to hear. Um, and yeah, like that's awesome that, again, it's just an idea. It's just a way to, you know, trade the market. And it's, you've obviously found something that works really well for you. So, I mean, that's something that you did. Like, amazing. Awesome. Um, I think, I mean, I don't know. So we can take like a quick look at, so this upsets me. Take knows why this upsets me. But I do think, and again, like this is something that we've been talking about. I mean, I think it's extremely likely, and this is something that I posted in VIP. Like when we had this weekly candle, which it ended up even looking worse than it was. Like when it was like,
Oh,
it was much. It did not look remotely this bad. I think we were at like 102 or something like that. I don't know. You'd have to go back to VIP and look. But I was like, this is high said. Like this is not what you want to see. Weekly candle closes anything like this. It's bad, 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 bad. And not only did it close significantly worse than like obviously the weekly candle at $100, low hundreds or whatever, did not look as bad as what it closed at. So um I do think that the high is extremely likely to be in on silver and gold. Like I think metals, like I think the highs are very, very, very likely. And although I do think, and like yesterday was a great opportunity for so again, you had your anchored view app basically off of your high, came into like your 382 anchored view app, retracement there, like a really, really great short opportunity. And obviously you got a significant move down to the downside. Right now, like this 72-ish, 74-ish level on silver has been really good support. I don't expect this to really hold, to be honest with you, but this is a good, again, I think like we could be obviously forming a really nice range here. What I would like to see which I certainly think is possible, and you can see where I have these alerts. I don't know if we'll get it. I hope we get it. I wouldn't mind it if we got it, but I would love a bit higher on silver for like a nice short. You know what I mean? You had a beautiful short here. This was picture perfect all day. Beautiful, like amazing short. But I wouldn't mind another attempt. I mean, you can even get up here to the low hundreds, and that wouldn't change the big picture, right? And I think that it's likely to be defended like extremely tough if we were to. It's obviously there's a ton of volatility on silver right now. A lot of people are talking about it, but I do think that the high is in. It's very likely in, and as long as you're below like $108, again, you kind of like look at the. It's hard to see, but I have a range pulled out of this top part. Again with the volume, as long as you're below like 108. This is just bad news. And on a move like this, after, I mean, look, like you've had like a crazy move up. It's not the best, right? Um, and then obviously there's another anchor view out kind of coming from this low here that's been pretty decent support. That's kind of coming in around 68. So I would kind of like give this a bit of a window. Maybe we get a stab down to 68 if we start to lose this. I do think that this area is again like I wouldn't mind like a range, and this is something that's going to take time. Like it's not too likely, I think, to just break all the way back down, right? But at some point, I wouldn't be shocked at all to see $50 silver again. Like probably again maybe it takes a few months, maybe it takes 6 months. I don't know, but I wouldn't be shocked at all to kind of see this like retrace quite a bit more. You do have a yearly pivot at 61, which is also a 786, and so far your golden pockets held up beautifully, right? This has been like a really nice support to come in with this weekly level that's here. Really solid support. You got a massive bounce off of that into your resistance. So again, if there's a range of forms here, it is extremely tradable, especially if you're a scalper. This is definitely something like this is there's a ton of volatility here. It's a great place to be. Again, not financial advice, but it's there's a lot of opportunities here. If you start to break this region, especially below 68, I think 61 is another nice place for maybe a bit of a bounce, but ultimately, like I wouldn't be that surprised again to see it a lot deeper. Like it's just over time. But yeah, silver's been wild. So gold kind of the same. I mean, like this is again, like this is look at this, right? Like look at this. It's insane. High's extremely likely to be in. And geez, I didn't even update this yet. But yeah, so their golden pockets moved down. So I would say again, as long as you're below like 5,200, something like that. I just don't see I just think that the high is very likely in. So maybe another push up. We move this box because that matters. Try to get this right. Push up into here. I think this is likely to be like pretty well defended. If I had to take a guess. Gold not remotely as bad as silver. It's funny. Like not remotely as bad. Like this is I mean still not good. I think that this is, again, maybe even yesterday was a pretty significant high as well. Possible. Like front run front run your 618 a bit. This isn't great. So if anything on gold, I would look for get another move down maybe to like 46 4700 or something like that, and then maybe try for a bit of a bounce form, again like continue a range, something like that, but this isn't great. So quick touch on that. Copper, I know Tig's got some stuff on copper that we're going to be releasing here pretty soon. I don't actually have the channel pulled up, but a little secret is that we actually have a new YouTube channel that we will be posting, or that we will be doing a lot of again, if you've been watching our stuff on Nat Gas, our stuff on there's other stuff we did, like some of our stocks, like a lot of which we can cover some of those things here if people want. Like one that we've been kind of paying pretty close attention to is Lion. So Lion came back down, it came into our region, had a pretty nice, I would say like overly nice, but it did again, like where you would expect to see support, where you'd want to see support held, came back into it, gave you a nice bounce, gave a really nice high here, by the way, in advance. Um, and for now, you've lost this. So again, I would change this to be resistance now. Like this is another, I would say like this is a pretty important region that you want to see reclaimed in order to look for new highs. But for the time being, you've lost your support and you just back tested it and you're currently rejecting from under it. It's a classic SR flip, right? So as long as you're below here, I would just expect this to kind of trend lower into this next region, which is your 848 region, which I like this region a lot better. If you remember the analysis that I did here, I wasn't, I was expecting I could bounce from here. It's just very unlikely. And this is one, again, Ichimoku kind of helps guide us. And we got our close below here, and that was a pretty good signal that, this bounce was unlikely to continue, right? Your blue line here, your blue Tenkan, ever since you got your cross, phenomenal, beautiful support you want to see. Change of behavior, close below, and now, again, this is, as far as the trend goes, this is starting to weaken a bit. But like you look at where your daily Kijun is, which is your mean reversion, and this is like a very important support that you want to see held. And I wouldn't be shocked at all if this came down here to like 840 and gave you a pretty decent bounce. So like this green box, since the last, I think, this was starting to flatten out. I think the last time we looked at this, it's come up a little bit, but I really like, again, not financial advice, but I do like this area for a decent bounce. And maybe, some kind of mean reversion and then continuation of trend would be nice. Again, this is like typically when you're looking for spots to bid in something that looks like this is where you're looking. Simply put, not financial advice, but simply put, this is where you're looking to take a shot. So we'll follow that, see how it goes. And with Lion, this is something we've been covering, and I'd say so far we've been pretty damn right on it. But
and it looks pretty good compared to everything else, though.
Yeah, exactly. No, it does though. Exactly. I mean, look, it's up today, right? Like, I mean, look, everything else is bleeding, and this is one that's kind of doing its own thing, right? It's like it's for whatever reason, it's kind of doing its own thing. So it's a bit refreshing to look at something that's actually like moving higher and overall, and not just getting absolutely nuked like a Palantir or something like which we can look at that stuff if people want. But I'm trying to think like if there's anything else that. So Roblox, this was one that we covered, and this is one that I did take a trade on and ended up cutting my position for a very, very small scratch. But it just was not, this was a great area of support, something that I would look to highlight. Anytime that I see a setup like this, and we've had a big discussion about Roblox and what my thoughts about it, which I guess I'll go into very briefly. But anyway, basically, again, bidding a little bit in this area, and then I was waiting for this anchored VWAP retest, which is this is where I tried to catch the knife here, if you will. And we got a bounce. Let me zoom in. So again, this is not great, right? When you see a candle like this and it kind of knifes through your support region that you would be looking at, go straight, again, you got your 618 bounce, bit of a move up for a couple of days, and then it goes straight to the 6-6 and into your anchored VWAP stuff. Again, you got to bounce, but then you see this trend line, this kind of like trend line from way back here in, middle of 2024. And it was been amazing support. So I was hoping that, again, if it came down into this trend line again, into your golden pocket, into this order block that's sitting here, it's like, this is like a decent area, right? Like this is kind of something that I would look for. But if you remember from the analysis as well, this is also why trend is important, because you're trading against the trend. And you literally just got your mean reversion here and then a nasty rejection off of that. So you're literally battling like two opposing forces, right? The trend, very bearish, but you're coming into a support trying to like catch this, and you're basically trying to like not bottom ticket, but like you're trying to like find a good spot to trade this back up to, essentially your Kijun, something like that. Like this is a bit of a tough one. And as you can see, trend won and still looks bad. And so I'm out of the trade. Small loss on it happens. Again, this is a setup, something like this that I would take more often than not. And I've had a lot of success trading this way, but they don't know it's trading, right? They don't, nothing's perfect. There's no system's perfect. It's, it is what it is. You're going to have losers. Um, I'm definitely not one of those guys that tells you that I win all the time, because that's not true. The key is to win more than you lose. That's all that matters. So, but on Roblox specifically, I am like extremely bearish on Roblox now. Like I'm like overly bearish, and the simple reason is I have kids. My kids religiously played Roblox. Like they spent a lot of their free time on Roblox, and I know how much money I spend on the Roblox platform for all of their stuff. And my daughter came to me the other day, like she was, I was asking her about it, and she basically said that it's no longer interesting, or it's a lot less interesting to her. And like Roblox has gone through some issues where, I think was it the Netherlands or something, like is they're in a bit of trouble for like underage, like predatory stuff or something like that. I'm not entirely sure if that was true, but with my kids, like Roblox changed their settings so that you have to do some kind of like video verification. So like you have to let the camera, like the AI, like the Roblox camera, like AI, look at you and determine your age. And your age that it determines will, like, that's what like groups you in with the age group of people that you can talk to and chat. Okay. So I have a daughter, and she's 12, and she got put in the 17 and over category, which is extremely problematic for me. I'm not very happy about that. But that's what Roblox AI determined, and that's obviously extremely wrong. Um, and then I have a younger daughter, slightly younger, and so like they should be in the same category, right? Because they play, they play on Roblox together, and they can't even speak together because Roblox obviously categorized my daughter incorrectly, and like obviously like there's some issues with that, putting her with older, like verified older people, right? Um. So anyway, let's just say, long story short, not bullish on Roblox, um, at all. So like, well, I shouldn't say at all, but a lot less than, like, again, there's trying to catch again, big pullback, successful trade last time, sold too early, but like did extremely well the last time. So I was pretty keen on like waiting for a nice pullback, which we got, and to try to like catch this and see if we can get some upside here. Yeah, not really that interested anymore. I think they might have a bit more problems, and it's what's interesting. What's funny about it is that the chart is showing you that, right? And like this is very bearish. So you lost this trend just from this trend line. This is obviously extremely bearish. I mean, you can look back here, right? You got your, move to the bottom of cloud, close below, back test, and it's been down only. This is this is a phenomenal short opportunity right here. Again, coming back to your Kijun, and you're making, you're substantially new lows. So go back to, okay. So this right here is a good lesson. It's, you have a really good trend, you come back to your EQ, and you make new lows, right? If you go back to Lion, what we're hoping for is for this to come back down here and make new highs. So it's the opposite, right? So again, this is why like your Kijun is often like a decent area to look for a trade to continue whatever trend it was. So again, Roblox very bearish. You got your mean reversion and a disgusting, nasty rejection off of that, new lows. Lion, we're hoping for the opposite. Or like, I don't really care. I don't own it right now. But if I was to trade this, what I'd be looking for is nice strong trend, get your pullback into your Kijun, your mean reversion, and then a strong bounce, new highs type scenario, right? Like you want the trend to continue. So Roblox, trend continuing. Bearish though, bad. New lows. Lion, opposite. Bullish chart. You came into, again, your golden pocket, which is a natural natural place to have this kind of a bit of a pullback. So again, do we come into your mean reversion, Kijun here, new bounce, you know, new highs, stuff like that? Great, cool. So anyway, that's that. Let me see here. Oh, DJ, I'll ask him. And
Yeah, the Roblox thing is
I know you disagree with me on that, but
no, I honestly I agree with you. I mean, my kids are still playing a lot, but
yeah,
I agree the chat thing and like the safety thing is a problem.
that's a
And
massive
it's
problem.
huge,
And
huge headline risk. You know,
yeah, and
a
I'm
lot of
not
big
sure that that's made it out yet. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like
yeah, it's
I'm not
probably
like, because if it's still happening, like I'm not sure that that's like a well-known thing yet. It's that type
yeah. I
of,
mean, if you're a
so
big hedge fund manager, you're not trying to
no.
deal with and you know, also concerning that, you know, we spend all this money on the Robux and like the damn company's still not even profitable. I mean,
I know what I spend
how
on
it's
it.
not is insane. But I mean, they do. I think they give like 29% of the, uh, I guess, revenue to the developers, and then I think they also have to pay like 20 something percent to the platforms like
Yeah, like
Apple and all
Apple,
these
yeah,
other
like
things. So
the
it
Apple, yeah.
cuts, yeah, it cuts a huge chunk of their revenue out.
So about that. So I don't want to spend a ton of time on Roblox, even though I do think this is like a really good case study. Like this is something, you know, again, like so I think I hinted at this, that we have a new YouTube channel, and there's going to be a ton of this type of TA and fundamental analysis. TIG is phenomenal fundamental analysis. Um, but we do have a new YouTube channel. It's called Barron Street Research. Okay, so if you see that, TIG, you can actually put the link. I think you can put the link in. Maybe, I don't know if you can do that or not. But we do have a new YouTube channel that's starting. You know, and like that's where, again, like I'll be there for the TA, and you know, Tig will be there for the fundamental analysis. We've done a great job on that. Like nailed some like really good stuff really early. So hopefully looking to capitalize on that. And what's up, Bryant? Bryant, John, I'm guessing it's John Bryant. This is Bryant John 703 going on. Um, yeah, so we have that, and that's starting very soon. And so we'll put some links up here in a minute. I don't know if Tiggy can put that in chat or not. You put a link, like I don't link to our YouTube channel, the new one that
Yeah,
we are
I'm,
starting. Or if you just comment, I should be able to what you call, I should be able to make you a admin or something. Anyway, finish my thoughts on Roblox. So part of the expense thing that I think that they're in the process of doing is using AI like to make their games, right? So like another thing we talked about, which initially you would think, oh, that's really bullish, because like if you cut out the developers who have been developing these games that made Roblox what it is, like if you can just have AI build it for free, then you know, like, and you don't have to pay these developers a cut, then you're going to pocket all of that money. My argument to that, and literally the feedback that I'm getting from a power user, I consider my children to be power users, okay, is that they are way less interested. Like they can see and they can, like, they experience the difference between those types of games, like that content, and they, and like the creators that they follow, like they like actually know the creators behind these games, and they follow the creator, like it's the creator making the experience, right? So like whatever developer is building a particular game, like Grow Garden was super popular a few months back, and like it had like an insane amount of users. Like, so again, like people follow like the creators that make the experiences, and my belief, like Roblox, that's not their core competency, right? Like Roblox does a great job, like did a great job and does a great job of building the sandbox to allow these games to be created by people. But they want to cut out eventually the people that made all of these great experiences for the audience on Roblox, and they're just going to go AI, right? I think there's going to be problems, and I don't think that that's necessarily going to be like, I don't think Roblox is necessarily like the best at deciding what content to give to its users. It's like you need to let people build games, and you know what does that make sense? Like you need to like let people build those experiences, and I don't think Roblox is like, they've done a good job providing a place for that to happen. But if they start to really become like the, you know, the builder too, I don't know how that's going to work out for them. And if you look at their stock price right now, I think people are agreeing, right? Like it's the market speaking, you know. So anyway, more money, more share, like more share of the you know, keeping more of the dollars is not always a good thing. So like I just, that's anybody who would say that, I fight, that's what I would fight back. And like again, that's literally the feedback I've got from my kids, which are like power users, right? Like they're, if my kids don't want to play it, that's a problem. Like that's, you know, anyway, they're way more ahead of the trend than like most people are, I would say. You know, in terms of Roblox. But anyway, enough about that. Yeah, not good. So anyway, finish the analysis on here. Look, this is something that I will not try to catch again. In terms of like, there's nothing super interesting. I mean, I could see this come back down to $50 like relatively quickly. And maybe try to find a bit of footing here again. This is, you literally, your macro value area high. You get below $50 and it's just, there's nothing good, right? Like this is not good. What would I want to see in terms of, you know, thinking that a good low is in our Roblox? It's honestly very similar. And if you look at this chart, it's kind of similar to Bitcoin, right? Like it's arguably a bit worse, but it's worse. But like what I want to see is some kind of range form. Maybe it comes down to 50. This wouldn't be a terrible place, honestly, I think, for this to happen. But maybe this kind of like continues and work its way lower. And then what I want to see is some kind of like range formula for a while. Like have this trend slow down, get your, you know, get your Tenkan and your Kijun to kind of flatten out a bit, give you that potential edge to edge. Like it's like a classic, you know, it's a classic like play, right? Like you just want to let it kind of slow down and, you know, build some support, like prove to you that it's trying to at least put in a good low. And then, you know, you see Cloud kind of do something like this, right? Like, and I know this is bad drawings and I'm sorry, but like then you want to see something like this. Like that is a much better sign that this is looking to actually like put in some meaningful macro low, and then maybe it can go higher again. So as a father, I hope Roblox goes to zero. Yeah, no, I, that's like,
Save us some money, sir.
yeah, but like, and I don't know if you heard my, like what I was saying earlier about my daughter, and like it put my 12-year-old daughter in with 17 and over, like adults, right? So you have to do like the video, which I honestly I didn't know that, like that they had to do a verification. My wife probably knew about it, but the fact that like it put her in an adult category, that is extremely problematic. So that bothers me a lot. And I actually haven't spoke to her yet about that. Of the, you know, but I got really bothers me, and that's obviously not very safe. And if Roblox did, you know, obviously if they you know, whatever their AI system or whatever their verification system is that they have for that is obviously very broken. And I think you're gonna have some really pissed off people about that. So anyway, something to keep an eye on. All right, what are we covering next? Trying to see if there's anything
Well,
that we
there's definitely a
spoke
few
about.
more crypto
Oh yeah,
things we could
we're
go
gonna get to
over.
crypto for
Some
sure.
exchanges, maybe Hood or Coinbase.
I mean,
Qualcomm's a good one. It's
Hood is in deep trouble. So like I think so this one is very easy and I'll cover this very quickly. I want to make sure I'm on the right settings. I am. So this is again what a bearish chart looks like. Like in the trend, absolutely filthy. Your yearly pivot. So again, this is great. So like your yearly pivot anchored VWAP off of this low couldn't save you. Like it couldn't save you. You get below it, and it's just, so again, I think this was your prior. Yes. So this key level was here just to mark off this prior high. Okay, like literally your IPO high, and then it went to zero basically, and had like an insane massive run, which is very respectable. Um, but now you're obviously again you're back below your prior all-time high again. You're below the trend is extremely bearish, and for me the first place, which I have another anchored VWAP from, like I think it's like that the low, the very beginning of this run, which I actually respect this one a lot more. And if you go back to the origins of this, and again this is just pulling your average volume from the very low, right? It's been a pretty good, pretty decent support. So especially here, came away from it, made this big high all the way back right into this anchored VWAP, and that was a significant low, right? That has not, like, the next test would be here. So your last test was here, very good. Your next test coming into this nice prior high resistance, hopefully flipped into support here, and again made significant new all-time highs off of this level. So a pullback back into here makes a bit of sense. I wonder if there's any kind of, you're actually in your golden pocket right now. To be fair, yesterday you did get a little bit of a reaction off of that, but I would not, honestly, I think this is heading lower. You could pull this from even this low, or actually like the low would probably be a better idea. It's more like back here to encapsulate like the entire move. Like I put way more weight on this than I do like a local one. And kind of what I like about that right away is I don't want to draw like a million boxes on it, but your 618, like your golden pocket is actually here. And this is for like the entire move, right? So like I like this a lot better in terms of, looking for your Fibonacci retracements for something like this. I wish it was a little bit higher. But yeah, anywhere in like the 60, like the mid 50s to mid 60s, I would say is pretty fair game for Hood to come down into this region and maybe try bounce. Your trend line, there's only two, I have it here as kind of something for reference. There's only 2 points of contact, so I wouldn't put too much weight on this. Just to be honest, I wouldn't put much weight on this trend line. It's just kind of here for like my mental, like me keeping track of it. But in terms of, again, trend, extremely bearish. Looks terrible, especially below 85, like extremely bad. And I do think it's pretty likely that it's going to come down into this region. I think you could get a pretty decent bounce, but I wouldn't necessarily be prepared to say, okay, like this is a place where it's going to put in a macro low. Could it? Sure. Or like a massive low for new highs. Is it possible? Yes. But I think at a minimum, like if you do come down into this region here, I do think you can get a nice reversal, or like a nice bounce. Now, and like a nice bounce to maybe give you a mean reversion. So wherever your Kijun is, wherever your Tenkin in your Kijun is, that's kind of what I'd want to see. And maybe at that point it might pair up nicely with this $85 level. But either way, like I think that this is pretty good spot to look for a bounce. Somewhere in this region. So and here again, there's not a ton of support at all in this region at all, right? Like there isn't any. Your first area of real support, I would say, and this isn't even like significant support to me. This is just like decent support. Is kind of coming into this green box. Now, the thing I think that helps build the case again. I like confluence for a lot of stuff. Is that in this region, you do have your anchored VWAP that has so far been like very good support. You have your 618 that's just on the underside of this box, and you have kind of this prior SR flip type of thing. But like it's more, if anything, I would kind of look in the the mid 50s to low 60s, something like that. I think it's a decent area to look for at least some kind of reversion. Stop the bleeding for a little while, and but here's the thing too about Hood and about Coin, Coinbase, any of these names, like if Bitcoin continues to go down, these will continue to go down. It's just how it works. So like it's could there be some kind of confluence in terms of Hood coming into this region and maybe Bitcoin working into like the low 60s, high 50s or something like that? Possibly. Like I think, which I actually think that would maybe line up. And I think that like that could both kind of line up for like a really pretty nice bounce. It's the same thing, right? Like to me, it's like that's actually interesting. So Hood maybe down another, yeah, maybe down like another, just another like 10-20%, something like that. No big deal. But on Bitcoin, which we can go take a look at that, is oh my god. Bitcoin, I would say it has another, yeah, like it's kind of the same thing, right? It is literally, I don't expect it to move in lockstep like that, but it's kind of a similar setup. And I'm sorry for the mess, but I've been trading Bitcoin more than I have in a really long time lately, which has been a lot of fun. But what are we looking at, Hood? Yeah, so anyway, wrap this up. I think lower. Especially if there's continued crypto weakness, there's no reason to think that this is going to bounce anytime soon. Although I do think, again, it's the same thing on Hood. Like I think we're getting close. We're getting close, but not quite. And if it does, again, like I think we're gonna get some heads up. Like I do not think that there's gonna be some crazy V reversal on Bitcoin, right? Like on Hood, you could get a pretty decent, decent bounce. Wouldn't if especially if equities kind of like stem the bleeding and started to turn around. It's like it's gonna Hood will slow down a bit, but obviously, crypto weakness is not good for it. So that was a good one. What's another one? Wasn't there one I said we need to cover, or did I cover it? You remember taking? I think we were talking yesterday. A little bit of update on Netflix. Netflix right here. Netflix is as disgusting of a chart as you're gonna see, but it may be. Remember me talking about this every time so far. So again, trend extremely bearish. Oh my goodness, extremely bearish. You got your mean reversion here, by the way. Again, so your first close below cloud came up, give you your mean reversion, and the thing the thing died, right up to your Kijun. Nice short, and you're currently only down 30%. No big deal. So no big deal, right? It's just Netflix, one of the biggest companies in the world, right? No big deal. And then again, so like, are we breaking like this kind of like parabolic trend? It's trying. So here, you did open outside of here, but look at the candle, right? Like look at the candle, and then the next day, like just another pretty good move down, rejection off of here. Now you're opening, and it looks like you might close outside of this. So look, I am not, I would be hesitant to call some kind of like major low here, but what I will say is kind of what I've been saying in the prior analysis, prior times that we looked at this, is what you want to see here is this trend breaking. And by this trend, I mean like it's worse than this trend to a degree, right? Like you look at how Ichimoku's positioned. This is very, very bearish, but like to break this kind of like parabolic trend that it's been on, what I'd like to see is at least some kind of range. So like I'm not calling a bottom on Netflix. I am not calling a bottom on Netflix, but what I am saying is I would like the rate of change, the rate of decline to slow. Okay? So like, yeah, there's a difference, right? It doesn't mean that the low is in. It could be. Unlikely, but it could be. You're just hoping to see a change in the rate of decline to give you a potential trade setup. Again, maybe some kind of like lower time frame range like this. Maybe spend a couple of weeks building a base. It will look a lot different than this. And then, work its kind of way up for another, again, I'm just drawing lines here, just trying to estimate, right? Just trying to estimate. But maybe you get something like this, where like you form your range, you broke this parabolic trend, and then you get a mean reversion at least, right? Some kind of mean reversion, but then you could also make new lows, just like you did back here, right? So again, your close below, bearish Kumo twist, clouds bearish, rejection, and 2-0 you go. But this is what this break of this the potential break, because we're not closed yet today. I'd really like to see this close. And look, as I'm speaking about it, the candle goes red. Anyway, this is what I would like to see to give me a nice signal, a potential signal, especially, and here's another one. So this is step one. All right. Step two would be, and again, this is gonna move down. This is good. I should do this in a different color. But this blue Tenkin here, what you want to see next is obviously a break of this trend. Step one, step two, a close above this. That would be a very good sign if you get a daily close above your blue Tenkin here, that you're going to come in for this, which is like your next potential. So again, what I want along that, I don't know. I'd kind of have to see things on a lower time frame. Again, this is a lot of speculation right now about like what I think could be happening, or like kind of what I'd want to see for that mean reversion. But that's basically your steps that you want to see in order to kind of like forecast like the full mean reversion. Which, by the way, again, that's probably a pretty good short if given that, right? Or if you're long from some kind of setup that maybe we find here, that is a very good place to take profit, right? And then, kind of like from where it is to where your Kijun is, that's 17%. Obviously, this is probably going to come down a little bit, but it could be a nice double-digit mean reversion, very playable, and maybe even flip into a nice short for new lows type of scenario, right? Obviously, too early to call that, but that's what I would be looking for in this region, and I think this is a great chart to pay attention to. So let me kind of, what a mess. Yeah, I need to get better with my drawing. Like my drawing, I wish TradingView had like better drawing tools. But that's kind of what I would look for. And again, I would not say that Netflix is even out of the woods. I mean, look at how just since I started talking about it, like it's still got 2.5 hours and it's looking rough, very bearish. Like this is, if you want to, I mean, I'm sure a lot of us here are in crypto right now. Like that's bearish. But I mean, man, Netflix, massive, massive, massive stock, massive company, and they aren't immune, right? Like they are not immune from these types of moves. Yeah. So what's another one, or should we get into crypto? Watching comments too. I haven't seen it.
Qualcomm is yeah, I put our link in the chat, and YouTube said no.
Oh, I got it here. Say something in chat, and I'll try to make you a moderator. Then you'll be able to do it.
From the other account or from my personal account?
From your personal one.
Okay. But yeah, Qualcomm, Palantir, Talon.
Oh, man, that's true. We could rip through
all
those.
the crypto.
We could rip through those real quick. Yeah, hurry up and type something so I can get back. Just say hi or something.
I'm switching accounts. So
oh my goodness. Okay, so let's go to what's one that is there any stocks you guys want to look at while I'm on this? I will get into crypto in a bit, but anybody who's on here right now, is there any stocks in particular you want to look at? Here's kind of one. XLE is interesting. Obviously in a really, really bullish trend, really strong. The thing I like about this is on the weekly, actually. The weekly looks pretty good. So like coming above your prior high. Like this is a beautiful trend, and this could be the start. I mean, this thing's obviously been up, but as long as you're above your prior high, I would be pretty like I would be looking for continuation. I think this is one that looks is on kind of like a clean break. And this is again, this is what you want to see. Like this is the opposite of Netflix. Like this is really strong. It's, as long as you're above, and I should put this. Not that it really matters that much, but like this is a very important level to remain above. I would say. If you get a weekly close above here, if I wasn't a long, I would probably it depends on the setup, depends on like your time frame, but it's as long as you're I wouldn't let it come all the way back down here. I would probably initially look to trail this below whatever the low is for the week. I wouldn't want to be overly, because what can happen like on trade setups like this as well is like you got to be careful of is a break of the high, but then a failed breakout, right? And then this just comes all the way back down. Like you see this nice range that's forming. You get kind of like failures, like semi often from trade setups like this, and then you would be looking for a pretty sizable pullback after that. So on fresh kind of new highs, stuff like this, if I'm late to the trade, I like to play it close to the vest personally. Again, not financial advice, just how I do it. But I'm pretty close. Like I trail my stops relatively close because I don't want to if I am trading a breakout like this, which I don't usually like to do too much. But if I am trading a breakout, I don't want to get wrecked. Like I don't, want to not pay attention or something and then have this be some kind of failed breakout, come back below, and then it's like, oh my goodness, you're like significantly underwater. What I prefer to do is keep my stops relatively close. Obviously, the trend here is like this is a nice clean looking break so far. Trend, you have your trends picking up here, the angulation, which means like the slope of your cloud and your TK lines are very bullish. This is very clean looking. But like I'd want to see this, clear the R2 and start pushing higher. Then I would be a bit more generous, like with my, with my stop. I'd probably loosen it up a little bit, something like that. Um, again, it's not like a bad. That's just how I would do it myself. Is dot cooked? Oh boy, yeah. We'll get into dot. We can look. I actually haven't looked at dot in a long time because it's like been cooked like for a long time, but like man, like with just alts in general, I am so bearish on alts. It's not even funny. Like, are there gonna be like look? Okay, Bitcoin just made 126K new all-time highs. ETH barely made a new all-time high. And then you look at like a lot of like the alts that I would say are many steps below Bitcoin, or Bitcoin's not an alt, but like ETH, like Solana, like a lot of the stuff that you would probably class below that, like Dot's one of them. It underperformed so badly this last time around that like it's hard to have, it's really difficult to have any kind of real hope for alts that were around last cycle and especially the cycle before. There's a few that I would still like. I like Litecoin is one that I think isn't gonna die like all the way, and I just think like there are a few like that I still like to trade and take positions on from time to time. But yeah, I mean we will look at Dot, I promise, because that's I actually I haven't looked at it in a while, so like I am curious. I know like I think I remember it's like $1 something or something like that. Like anyway, that's all right. Let me see. All right, Big Take, you should now be able to post links in chat. I just changed it. Um, yeah, the XLE, this is interesting. And I think like this is like basically kind of like you have so you have your nice impulse, right? Nice long consolidation. I mean a 3-4 year almost consolidation and a clean break. This is definitely one to watch. And the nice thing about this is you stop, again, I already explained it, but like whatever the weekly low is, I'd probably be somewhere around that area. If you wanted to be a little bit more conservative, below 49 would be okay, even though it's above your TK lines. I already explained why I would do that, because I wouldn't want to get trapped, right? Like become part of the trapped people in case this was a fake out and then another significant pullback. That if this ends up being a fake out here and you start to trade back below 49 bucks, a high probability that this thing's probably coming a lot lower. So that's why I would keep my stops pretty tight around here. But I do like this in terms of trend. I mean, almost a 4-year consolidation, 4-year range, and a clean break. This thing probably has legs. That's my guess. So XLE is one to keep an eye on. Trying to think if there's any other stocks, or if I probably just want to get into crypto. I know we probably have mostly. I can always come back to stocks. Oh my god, Bitcoin's coming. Bitcoin new lows. Let's go to the charts. Holy smokes, this thing is terrible. And again, sorry about my chart. I'm gonna have to clean it up, but I've been doing a ton of trading. I mean, look, even on the 5-minute, here's a perfect example. 5-minute, you've been unable to do anything. You have not seen price above cloud. Go back. When's the last time price was above cloud? 76,000. And this is on the 5-minute. That's how insane this is. That's how bad this is. This thing moved down $10,000 basically in a straight line. Like you couldn't even get above a 5-minute cloud, which is insane. That's like so bad. Now are we coming in? Oh my goodness. Every time I say like it's just another lower high, it just becomes another lower high. Like, are we gonna bounce here? Yeah, we probably do bounce here, but is it like gonna be a meaningful bounce at some point? I mean, geez, we're down 10 now. We're down 10% in a day. I'd be careful being overly. I can get worse. I mean, geez, we've seen 15%, 20%. We've seen those days historically, right? And this is turning historically speaking, 10% is significant. Like that is a very significant day. I would just be real careful. Unless you're scalping, like I've been scalping, like I would be really careful being overly aggressive here. So like opening up a massive new short position here might not be like the best idea ever in history, right? Because like you're already down 10% intraday. Intraday, you're down 10%. Like you're already down a lot, right? So like I would be a little bit careful about that. Let me clean this up a bit, even though I'll just redo it when I'm get back to trading later. So I do want to clean this stuff up. This stuff is not that important. Okay, so right now, I would say like what I'd want to draw your attention to is this is our yearly pivot, correct? Yes. So here's a nice example, and to kind of walk you through. So I mean, geez, we had this trend line. You broke below this trend line, and it was the start of this range, right? But over. I'm gonna go ahead and delete this trend line. But that's very, 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 very bad. Very bad sign. Oh, there you go. So Big Take put up the link to our other YouTube channel. We just started it. So subscribe to it. Check it out.
Bryant John 703, I think, is the first subscriber.
Let's go. So yeah, we literally just started it. We haven't put anything up yet. Oh my goodness, it's nuking. But there's gonna be a lot of what's hopefully really good fundamental analysis paired with technical analysis to kind of give you ideas on certain things, sectors. I know there's a lot of metals, copper is one of them that is coming out soon. There's gonna be like a lot of plays in there paired with technical analysis to kind of give you an idea of like how things are going to be looking, and it's gonna be more high time frame focused, so a lot of like macro type plays, but we're really excited about that. Oh, let's go. Okay, there he is. Okay, make you a moderator. There you go. Oh, absolute OG in Discord. Absolute OG. Been around forever. Nice to have you here. That's why I'm like, thanks for telling me your Discord name, because I won't I won't know anybody's YouTube name, but oh, absolute legend. So Bitcoin, go back to this dumpster fire that we are seeing right now. We did hit our S1 pivot, currently below it slightly. I mean, geez, this is so messed up. But you can kind of see where I'm looking. And I do think that this is a decent area to look for So here's what I would say. And again, not financial advice. What I would say is we're currently 48% off our all-time high. And this box is about 50%. Okay, so we're kind of getting towards like, yeah, painful to look at for some people.
Oof.
And down here, which is your 618 anchored VWAP, which I really like, kind of looking at that area, been looking. I just didn't expect that we'd kind of be coming into that so soon, to be honest with you. But that's, you know, like 55% off your all-time high. Anyway, if you are bullish on Bitcoin, like if you're bullish on Bitcoin forever and you've traded your Bitcoin, you know, for me, I sold all of my Bitcoin at 100K. It's like 100 to 103K, something like that. I was fully out. I missed this. I honestly, and it was on the first rise up. Like I missed a lot of this. Like I did very, very, very little. I don't think I actually had any spot Bitcoin trades during that time that I can remember. I don't think I bought actual spot. Like, of course, I traded some throughout that, but I didn't buy spot. I'm talking about spot Bitcoin. I sold all of mine, and yeah, I felt a little early. I mean, I felt pretty smart here, but you know, again, it made like, you know, we start pushing 120. I'm like, okay, like I didn't have any Bitcoin exposure at that point. But I just like, for me, I've always known, like since I got into crypto, I had an extremely strong conviction that Bitcoin would hit 100K one day. I just knew it, right? Like I was extremely convicted about that. Once I saw that physically there, I knew that my thesis, my reason for being in Bitcoin and like my target was hit. Did I feel like it could go higher? Yes. I still feel that way, by the way, right? But the point is, it hit what I originally envisioned. And so I sold. That's simple. And it wasn't a technical reason for it. That's the honest truth. It was not, it was just, it hit six figures and I didn't really know what was going to happen from there. So I sold and I was good. You know, like that was, you know, it's a long term, long horizon plan for my spot Bitcoin. And it was there. So it's like, you got to, you know, for me, I took it. And sure, I didn't like, I could have sold at 120. I could have, you know, like acted like I did. I didn't. I sold at 100, which today feels good. But it's, you know, it feels good, but it's like, I mean, geez, we could have been at 150, right? And like, I may or may not have had any spot at that point. I don't know. I mean, thing is, I'm always trading, right? Like, I'm always trading. It's just, I'm talking about like my spot, kind of like long-term bet. So, now, I actually just bought some IBIT today. You know, in my TradFi accounts, which I just feel like we're coming into, you know, we're like peak FUD, peak. I mean, this is peak pain, man. This is like peak pain, peak FUD, peak fear, peak everything, I would say. But the funny thing about it is, I do think that we're gonna keep going lower. You know, this is just one of those. I actually do expect that we're gonna come down here. Who knows? But the rate that this is going, we might see this live. You know, I shouldn't be that surprised. But we're just seeing tremendous weakness. I don't expect this to really change, right? Like this is extremely bearish. Do I think it's overdone? Yeah, it's. I do think it's overdone, but I don't think it's done yet. Okay. So why did I buy some IBIT today? First of all, it's not even that big of a position. It's just some stuff I've been trading around here and there. But you know, I do think that this is it's a generally, and I can only speak for myself. This is not financial advice at all, but like for myself, we're starting to get into reasonably. Again, I sold my Bitcoin at like 100 to 103. We're at 65. Like I'm, you know, like I wouldn't mind getting some of that exposure, like start to get that back. I am not in a rush. Oh, pirate. No way. Let's go. Hold on a second. Gotta add you to another like literal OG. He's one of my admins for years now in Discord. Awesome, awesome person. It's nice to see you in here. And yeah, so like for you guys here right now, um, this is a little bit different format than I'm used to doing. Typically like all of our streams have been private. You know what I mean? Like I've been streaming for years, honestly, but not publicly. Like I've just been doing it for our group, right? Like our small group that we have. But I decided, you know what? Like I'm gonna do it, do it, do it live, for everybody to see. But yeah, some like serious Discord OGs in the house. Really cool to see you guys in here. And yeah, so like anyway, like for myself, I am starting to keyword starting, and I'm starting slow to be perfectly like upfront about it. So this will kind of lead into the analysis and kind of why I think that we're coming into some major levels, what I deem to be pretty major significant levels for Bitcoin that I don't know if it'll hold up, to be honest with you. And I really should probably look at like, okay, this is even better. Like, I just kind of want to start at like looking at something really clean for you guys. So like if we just go back to last cycle, like you can kind of see, so we put in our high, nice drop range. Does this look familiar to any of you guys at all, by the way? Oh my goodness. You go back and look here, it looks pretty similar, doesn't it? And now you're seeing the extension of this failed range, right? Failed support, basically. Like try to put in a range, lost your, and you're seeing the nuke right now. And this one's pretty bad when you look at this, right? Similar setup. And I know people have seen this like on Twitter and stuff. It's not that hard to freaking spot. You don't need to be a genius to see this. But I mean, this part right here that we are potentially kind of like it's like a potential kind of like fractal of this, right? Oh my goodness, this is very bad. But also like from a percentage standpoint, I'm actually curious. Like, I guess you would look at, so what, maybe like this high down to this low. Oh my goodness. 47%. You guys aren't going to want to see this. No, again, I'm just playing around with some numbers here. But that would put us at, that would put us at low 50s. That would put us literally here. So, not to say that, and the thing is, it's going to look worse because the numbers are a lot bigger, right? Like, they're a lot bigger than they were back here. So, like, it's going to look a lot more magnified, right? But if you had, who knows? It could. So far, the structure is pretty similar. Like you could argue, it's pretty damn similar to last cycle. If you were to have a 47% decline, which again I don't expect it to match, but if you had if you kind of played similar structure, that would put you low 50s. Which, by the way, I think is it's a pretty good area. Like technically, it's not bad, right? But ultimately, switching back to this, it wasn't the low, and we continue to go lower. I also think that could happen here. It's very possible. I'm not discounting that at all. And kind of like what I would say about the price action that we've seen so far is like, again, I'm starting to buy slowly, and I'm buying this because we're damn near 50% off the high. Okay, so we're 50% off the high. We're $35,000, $40,000 below where I sold all my spot. I just want some exposure back, but I'm not clamoring. I'm not beating the door down to get it all back here. Okay, like that's the truth. What I would like to see is, and again, I think that this is, honestly, I think this is going to play out pretty similar. I wouldn't be that surprised. I don't know if it needs to be this drawn out, but I wouldn't mind something like this, where, and this is kind of what I'm talking about. And if you go back to Netflix, this on maybe the same scale, maybe a smaller scale, where you have this form, like you have some longer form range consolidation. You even got kind of your break below, acceptance back in, blah, I can go on and on. But like this is the kind of like reversal that you want to see in order for, and again, at this point, you know, Ichimoku here, got back above. I can go on and on and on. Like it, you know, like you want to see some kind of longer form range. The point is like on the move that we're currently seeing today, could we put in some kind of major low here and, you know, V reverse out of here? It's possible. It's not the most likely scenario I've ever heard, right? But this is trading. Anything can happen. I just think I think it's extremely unlikely. I am not in a rush to buy this, like a rush to like, you know, get extremely long Bitcoin here at all, because I do think that we ultimately are gonna head lower. I do not think that we're close. Like well, I don't really think that we're that close to a low, but I do think that we're close to a bounce, right? So like that's kind of my thought. And like why also I don't mind um getting a bit of Bitcoin exposure here, just because again, if it does play out a decent bounce, it could be a nice trade, right? For whatever position I end up having, whenever that does take place. But looking again, I'm not like, I don't expect this to perfectly mirror this. So far it's done pretty good job. Like it's structurally it's pretty similar, but it doesn't have to play out the same way, of course. um but just kind of my main thought about where Bitcoin is right now is I look at stocks and I look at where they are. And if you like, we can go back to that very briefly, just to show you, right? So like we go back here, and I mean, we could potentially, if this does roll over from here, especially start to trade below 24,000. If this starts to roll over from here, it could be significant, right? Like if we pull back anything like this, even 8% would, like, that's gonna hurt crypto. It ain't gonna help. You know what I mean? So like I don't, again, Nasdaq is kind of, it's not out of the it's not in like the full on danger zone, I would say. It's pretty weak, but you start to trade below 24,000 and I think we got some problems. Like I'm not necessarily expecting a full on meltdown or anything like that, but a pullback even just to your yearly pivot would be a decent move. You're talking, you know, 8% just to your yearly pivot. I mean, that's gonna do some damage across the board, right? So, um, on Bitcoin, oh my goodness, if I can get this right. On Bitcoin, that's kind of my thoughts, like on higher time frames. It's like I do think that we're close to a bounce region, which again is why I'm getting my exposure back slowly. I'm not in a rush to do it because I want to see, like, I want this I want the chart to prove to me that like a low is likely close. And I think like that's going to very likely takes, you know, it's going to take weeks to months to do. It's my guess. So like that's what I'm waiting for. I don't need to buy the absolute bottom. I won't. It's very unlikely that I will, right? But I do, you know, again, try to think about this intelligently, and, you know, from having experience and been trading Bitcoin for multiple cycles now, it's like you know, when you think the low is in, it's usually not. So, and this again, like looking at last cycle, kind of like looking at things, like it still feels like we could have a bit more to go. But again, Bitcoin 10% down today after being down, you know, again, we're almost 50% off of the high. It's just a natural area for me to be like, okay, it's not, it's ugly. It looks worse every day, but it's coming into some levels that like in the back of my mind I was thinking that like I might want to get exposure to again. That's all. It's pretty simple. Um the so yeah, like in terms of levels below, you can kind of see like where this green box is. It's basically like near the bottom of this range, right? Which like we are very clearly in. And like when we were holding 70K, if you saw 70K, we actually did have a little bit of a bounce. If you go back to 70, oh my goodness. When we were at where was it? Here. Here? Where is it? Here. It was on this bounce. So we came down to 70K. And you had a nice $1,800 bounce off of that, right? So again, very tradable. Doesn't isn't that insane though? $1,800 here, you can like barely tell. That's how bad this is. But you know, you did have a nice. I don't know if it's nice, but you had a bit of a bounce off of 70K. So zooming out, 70K is roughly your value area high of this range. Okay, so you did try to bounce off of it a little bit, but now you have crystal clear acceptance back into it. And you know, again, the S1 pivot here is 65K or 65.8. You're trying to kind of hold up in this region. But if you look at where the volume was done, you know, it's 63. Your point of control is 63, and then your value area low is 60. You get below your value area high, what are you looking for? You're looking for the rotation, right? So like we're trading back in this prior, you know, geez, we were in this range for 8 months, something like that. You've lost your prior value area high support. You're looking lower. It's around 60. So like that's again why like I think as long as we're below 70,000, I think the odds are in our favor that this is going to continue. It's going to continue to kind of come into this region. So there's a few things that are kind of lining up in this area that I want to call attention to. This prior range, which you know we've been doing this for years now, especially if you've been in VIP. We've been trading like this for years, so it's not new info. But kind of like the first region again is in the lower part of you know, again kind of like around 60K value area high. 63 is like pretty decent area as well, but I just think that it's the odds are that we kind of move a bit lower. Do you get your picture perfect 618? I don't know. You know, that would be a nice potential trade there. And you have your anchored VWAP off of the very low. This is your cycle low 2022. The anchored VWAP is lying out right about where your 618 is. I ain't gonna get any better confluence than that for me. Like I love that. And then less important, but the rate of change basically, you know, between these 2 points and the beginning of the trend, you had a very big move. Do we come into this region and kind of like give a bit of a bounce? What I would like personally to feel better about, like really now again, if we do come into this region, I think it's kind of likely that we will at some point. Maybe we bounce first and then come here. Either way, I think it's like a pretty fair chance that we're gonna see, you know, we're gonna see this region get hit. It's my guess. But this is again not financial advice, but for myself, this is an area of certain interest again to add to my, you know, spot Bitcoin holdings. Like just pick it up a bit more. Now, do I think that we can go a bit lower? I don't know if you guys really want the answer to that, but I do think it's possible. I'm not really looking for that to happen though anytime soon. I could be very wrong on that, but I do think that this area that's kind of highlighted in this region, you kind of have, and again, there's kind of a big area. So you have like your point of control. I do shade it a bit lower, like for your, you know, I do think like value area low is a bit better of a level. And this is something that like I would rather buy that, you know, or like add to some spot, you know, long term positions. I would rather, you know, buy a bit lower in there because your golden pocket's not too far away. Anchored VWAP is still coming in. And again, this is like stuff that I drew a long time ago, like for myself. This has been here for a long time. And it's kind of cool to see price start to, it's very close all of a sudden. Good or bad, depends, I guess. But this is kind of an area of interest for myself that I would be I will be watching this extremely closely if we come into here, which is it's really looking pretty likely, isn't it? But you know, anyway, I'd be curious again how we come into this. Do we bounce somewhere before this and maybe put in a bit of a relief rally? If we do, you know, great. Honestly, I'll probably look to short it, to be honest. You know, like if we do put in a decent rally from here, which I do think one's coming soon. But like again, going back here, it doesn't have to match, doesn't have to be perfect. But like after this straight move down, geez, you gotta like really zoom in, huh? Like after that, and I'm gonna delete this because this is kind of noisy. But after you have kind of this exhausted move, this directional selling like we're seeing, you get kind of like your exhaustive move, you do get a bounce, right? Forms at least a range before it nukes again. It gives you like what ends up being your macro lows, I mean, not quite, but you get my point. Like it gets much, much, much closer to that. So if we are kind of following a similar trajectory, which to me, this does feel similar, like in terms of how current price action is behaving, you might see some kind of capitulatory, like long wick down, strong buyback. To me, that doesn't necessarily, like I would not say, so going back here, if we get like a long wick, something like that, again, I wouldn't say that that's the low. I just think that it's a good opportunity if that does happen, because I expect the bleeding to stop for a little while, right? And give us a range to trade. And ultimately, it might even continue lower. That's kind of my point. Is like I think that this is a good area to at least stem the bleeding and get some kind of support. Maybe get some nice tradable range within this area, and maybe ultimately it does become a good low. But I would need to spend some time, or I'm not expecting like a V-shaped low out of here. Although, like if I got some nice fills and it did, I wouldn't be complaining about it. But I just expect that this is going to take some time to resolve, just like it kind of always has, right? Before trying another move to the upside. Otherwise, you get some kind of big, like capitulation type, which today down 10%. Geez, it certainly feels like we're kind of getting close there. But I think if you see Bitcoin down, 15, 20%, that's probably a good sign that we're very near at least a short-term low. So do what you want with that. Not financial advice. That's just from us trading Bitcoin forever at this point. And, I think that's kind of like what I would be looking for. So to the upside, let's talk about some upside. I'm going to go down on some lower level stuff. I mean, again, these anchored view apps, I'm just going to go ahead and delete, although like I am using them for scalps. Geez, like a key level yesterday, like last night before I went to bed, I would say it was 78,000 was pretty important for me. Now I'd have, that was and I would say it's still an important level. It's just like we're like a lot further away from that, right? And like the trend is immensely, like there's no structure. It's just straight down. So, any kind of, I mean, this looks so bad. Yeah, I mean, it's irrelevant, honestly. Because it's not likely to happen barring some kind of news, or which I mean, if we got a news pump, I would short that. I just would short it. Like, but I don't expect this to happen. It's so unlikely. But right now, like 80K is still a really important level. And like it's where your TK lines are as well. Like I just don't see that happening. I think what I'd want to see for like another potential swing short, which is insane to do at these levels already, because like if you're not already short, trying to look for shorts down here it's borderline suicidal. Like yes, you have now the positive thing is you have trend on your side. Okay, it's never a bad thing. But after this big of a move, if you're not short already, it's so dangerous to be trying to look for them at these levels, because the risk of like some kind of mean reversion, some kind of snapback, it's just the lower you go, the bigger the risk is, right? And we're pretty low, I would say, at this point. But what would I want to see for like another like potential swing short? And the funny thing is this changed like 2 days ago. I could have given, like I actually had a pretty good, there was reasons to look up for like 84 to 86,000. It was like a great, that was one that had like phenomenal potential for a nice short if given, but obviously we just continued. So like that's completely irrelevant now. But what would I look for now? At first glance is, and like, really like I'm seeing this candle live with you guys. I haven't traded, I started with equities this morning and kind of looking at what's going on over there. I didn't do any Bitcoin trading since my last night scalps, and a lot's changed since then. But what I'd want to see is I'd want to see like where these TK lines kind of converge, like where like I'd want to give again, I want to see kind of a low Maybe we get some kind of a range, and then the bounce, whatever reversion we get into that, that's probably like where I would be looking. I want to see like, do these line up with any kind of like anchored VWAPs? Do these line up with Fibonacci? You know, well, it's going to line up with Fibs, obviously, but it's like, do I have any good confluence for, basically shorting another bounce, which in a bear market, which in Bitcoin we are in a bear market. Shorting the rips is usually not a bad idea, right? It's not a terrible idea. So, whoops, I did not want to do that. But again, from here, there's just you're too for me too far extended, and I'm talking about swing short. So like holding for at least I'm talking about like weeks or maybe even like weeks to months, like getting a nice solid entry, which I don't know if I would class this as months at this point, but I would say weeks for sure. I don't really see anything until we kind of at least form that range and then give some kind of like some solid bounce, some retest, mean reversion type play. Then yes, I would look at that. Here, it's just too, for me, it's too extended. There's a lot of scalp opportunities. So I'm talking intraday. You might be in a trade and out in a trade in 15 minutes. There's a lot of those opportunities right now. And to be fair, a lot of like they probably should be on the short side, right? Like trade with the trend. But and like again, for those of you who have been with me for years and years at this point, like if I am going to try to position myself to get into a potential swing short, I like to trade lower time frame ranges. Which I mean, we can go take a look at one. I'm kind of curious. Like, yeah, here there's no again. This is just trending. Just trending. Your last chance was really something like here, like it's like your cloud retest or your break again, right? So again, this is like your attempt to flip and get back above your 5 minute cloud, which is insane. And try to like get a move higher. It failed, and you closed below. Like you could have shorted this. I'm not saying you should have, but you could have, right? Like there was a legitimate short opportunity at 70,700 right here. It's literally like a very good short opportunity, and you got a $5,000-$6,000 move off of that. I mean, that's what I'm talking about. Right now, would I short this? No, absolutely not. It's too far. Like to me, like is it bearish? Yes, but like this to me is not the best short. I would rather wait for at least again some kind of mean reversion, some kind of similar play like that, where maybe you try to get back into cloud and then it rolls over against like something like that. If I'm going to be trading lower time frame, that's kind of what I would want to get. That's not here. And would I long here? Absolutely not. Like this is. Have you seen this? At some point there would be a good long, but then you're really just knife catching. You know what I mean? Like that's, yeah, you're knife catching, or you're hoping that you're coming into like your supports that you have had mapped out for months now, and you're like prepared to trade it, right? Like that's kind of what you're hoping for. Um, but yeah, I mean, do I think we can bounce here? Like, yeah, I do. I do think that like we could put in a bit of a bounce, but I don't. It's so unlikely to be like a very significant low, right? And like Bitcoin now down 9.3%. We were just down to like over 10%. That's a lot for anything to be down in one day, especially Bitcoin now at as mature as it's become, right? Like that's a huge down day. Like so yeah, like are you gonna get some kind of like bit of a rally off here? Wouldn't surprise me. But does that mean that lows in? No, not necessarily, right? So yeah, I would say as far as like like if you want to talk about trades on low time frames, like getting ready for another scalp, there ain't one for me unless we put in like a pretty significant move off of this region. Like I would want to see. I mean, even here though, like we haven't made any structural changes. Like it's just down, right? Another one that I kind of like to look at is the trend, the super trend. And like, I mean, the super, like, again, that's back up at 70, 74 to 75K, something like that. Like, we've been below it. Like, look, we've been below it the whole time. Here, sell signal at 88,000, and you've been below it the whole time. Sell 88,000, you're still in that trend, right? Like, that's $22,000 ago, if my math is right. So, as long as you're below 75,000, you're not, nothing's happening. You know what I'm saying? Like we could have a pretty sizable rally off of here, but ultimately, like that could be a pretty decent opportunity to take another short, you know? So anyway, you can't tell. I'm not the guy that's gonna scream at you to bullish every $5,000 that you know, we drop 5,000 the lows in, we drop another 5,000 the lows in. It's in, this is a generational opportunity. No. I'm just trying to be as realistic as I can be, you know, about stuff. And yeah, like, are there going to be there's like, again, the scalping has been amazing, very good opportunities recently. um but you know, in terms of some kind of like calling like a big macro low, again, you're coming into your S1. I'm not shocked. Like I'm not shocked if we do put in a bit of a bounce from here. I'm not keen on just blindly, like, again, I did buy IBIT. Like I do have some Bitcoin exposure. Um, but it's, you know, like I'm not looking to get like, you know, like build my full bag back until the chart gives me a reason to want to do that. And if I miss the low, that's okay. Um, I'm totally cool. And again, those of you who know me, like I'm totally cool catching even 70% of the move. I'm good with that. I don't need to sell the high. I didn't. I sold at 100, you know, 100 to 104, I think. 100, 103, 104. Like I sold there on the first pass and I just left it. Like it is what it is. Did I sell the high? No. Did I buy the absolute low? No, but pretty damn close, if you remember. Like 17, it was seven, I remember this number, 17,100. That's pretty damn close to the low. Um, but you know, it was that's again, I'm not going to be perfect, but if I can capture the bulk of a trend, I will always be happy, right? So far, I don't class myself as missing. Well, I mean, I didn't buy, so I guess there's that. But like, if you're talking about pure like exposure, spot exposure, you know, I'm still, you know, even somewhere around here. Like I saved myself 35% by having a plan. What I'd say. So it's, you know, it is what it is. Like I'm not. I want to let the market prove to me that it deserves my money. Okay, like simple fact. Um. So yeah. Anyway, does anybody have any questions on that? I'll wait for a second over in the live, but I am trying to watch chat at the same time. But if anybody has any questions, or I'll move on and look at some other stuff. I know there were some questions about, which I can always come back to Bitcoin, but you guys get the gist of it, right? We're bearish. We've been bearish. There's no question about that. And we're, you know, again, I do think, you know, we're trying to put in a little bit of a bounce off the S1. I'm not overly like this. I'm not overly like excited about this. If anything, like just to look for another probable, like, you know, another probably short position at some point. But I do think the odds are pretty decent that we're going to come into this region. And you know, I don't want to talk about, you guys don't want me to probably talk about what comes after that if this region fails. If like 50K fails, you don't want, like, it's not, you know, we don't want to talk about that today. It's still it's we've already had it, we've already had enough pain for one day. Do I really expect that to happen? Not, I honestly don't. I don't really expect that to happen. But does that mean that I wouldn't like prepare myself for that? Like, of course, I would try to prepare myself as best as I could. And you know what? You know, again, like if the chart tells me that that's likely, then I have to trade accordingly, right? But I don't necessarily expect to see like 20 or 30K or something like that. Could we? Sure. Will we? I don't think so. I don't think so. But you know, we start to lose the, you know, 53, 52, something like that. Yeah, not gonna feel very good because there's really nothing below here, right? There's nothing below here. I mean, there's a bit in the low 40s, but like this is a long, you know, 8-month range that we spent trading in, literally an 8-month range. You lose the bottom of that and it's just, you know, you're gonna go lower, and maybe going back to this, maybe we try to, there maybe that this is the final low before, and then you get your reclaim, and again, this is like classic, like trading, right? It's like classic range trading. Even it's just like when you get acceptance back into the next range, and you're looking for the trend to continue. For this, if you're getting acceptance, just like we are here in this range, you're looking for it to go to the other side of the range, which is bearish, right? And then if that breaks that, then you're looking for the next one, which this is like the next range here, and on and on and on. Like it's the same thing. But maybe this is a good. Hopefully, I wouldn't mind this being like a good area for kind of that range to develop, and then we'll go from there. But give me 1 second. I let my dog out here. Hold on a second. Lock herself in my office. All right. What's something you guys want to look at? Somebody said dot. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. What's the low here? 63? This was on the 11th. Yeah, October 11th. Or the 10th, I mean. Yeah. This is the October dump. Dot was a victim of that. Whatever happened on that day. This is, I mean, I don't know what to say. Like, this is, you zoom out, this was your last hope. This green box, you can drag this over. Like, really, the break, I mean, look, like, here's your break, your whatever the hell happened here, and then you come back and you test the underside of this, which is also your yearly pivot now, by the way. This is a huge resistance going forward. But like you've got like clear, so here you have like, bit of a deviation, break above, bit of a deviation. I'm talking about this green box, right? This like old like big support region for dot. Look at that. Like, this is a massive like support zone for it. You've got obviously the massive liquidation, massive nuke here. You come back and you're testing the underside of this now. Like, honestly, I would just flip this resistance. I haven't looked at dot in a long time. Which, like, this is a whole very simply put, this is the definition of hideousness. And I'm sorry you have a dot bag that you found. Like, what we've seen on a lot of these alts that did this, some were less extent than others. I remember Adam literally went to 0. But there were some alts that were less impacted than others. But what we've seen is this actually come back all the way down and like fill in the wick, like all the way down. Do I think that's what's happening with dot here? I don't know, but it certainly looks like it, right? This is very like, this is just, I mean, here, like, this wick screws things up so badly too, by the way. And I mean, this really happens, so it is what it is. But in terms of like Ichimoku and like trying to find some kind of trend, so here, this starts to get really noisy because you have a range, right? And so ranges, anytime you have like a very obvious range, I don't ever look at Ichimoku because it's busted. It doesn't work. It's good for trends. Like, you want to see trends. In this instance, I know that this is very clearly a big, bad, horrible, bearish trend. It's just this wick really throws everything off. But yeah, I mean, as long as, I mean, geez, like, yeah, I mean, as long as you're below like 240, like this little, I would draw, this would be like a real SR zone for me right here. And it's not a daily time frame, so it's decently significant, right? And the thing that I like about this is now the cloud's starting to drift and trend below this. As long as you're below this region, I have absolutely no reason to think that, like, there's anything good about this, right? That's unfortunate to say. But one thing that I would look at too is this is kind of like this measured move, which I could have done this a lot easier. I'll show you how. Holy beep. Yeah. An easier way would have just been to do this. See? That's just like a 1-to-1. That's a simple 1-to-1. Now, does it go there in a straight line? Man, judging by how things have been, it might. I'm not expecting that to happen or something like that, but in terms of like, now this is not the best analysis. Like this is I was just more out of like my curiosity, like what would that look like? Um, but I think that there's like there's nothing to go off of for me. There's nothing to go off of for me. Like in terms of it's very clearly bearish. There's no support anywhere in this area, right? This is for all intents and purposes, unless you were trading dot prior, which I actually was. Before like they did the split even, and like split adjusted. I'm talking like when dot was created. Like I was very, very, very early to it. And I think split adjusted was like 80 cents or something like that. But like you're back down to like levels that don't even exist anymore because of that, you know? But like this is like, I don't know, there's nothing good about it. And there's nothing to go off of historically speaking. Like this wick, it's kind of, it's not useless because this is where it stopped. It's just not very, it's hard to, if I was to say anything, I think that the likelihood of dot filling the rest of this wicket is probably pretty high. And there's no reason for me to think otherwise. Like you're in, even just with the Ichimoku on the daily that we can see here, it's bearish. It's you got your bearish TK cross below cloud, and this is just trending down, right? So best case scenario, Bitcoin finds a floor, alts stop bleeding, which they're look very bad across the board, right? And like I said, like overall, I've been really bearish on alts. I continue to be very bearish on alts, and there are some alts that like man, it's like really difficult to want to like really. I mean, I'll always trade them. I'll try to trade them to a degree, but like there's not very many alts that I can think of right now where I'm like fundamentally bullish. The chart is one thing. The chart, you trade the chart, right? Like whatever it is, you trade the chart. There are better assets than others to trade. Stocks have been phenomenal, which is where I've spent all of my time. Basically, I spent most of my time over the last year for sure. Like it's been the better playground. And it's super liquid. It's like it's the much better playground that's been giving you crazy opportunities, and then there's less risk, right? And those are real businesses, real companies. Some of them, it's like you could argue like maybe overinflated or whatever, but the point is they're real businesses. There's like stuff behind it, right? Crypto is, which I've been in crypto a while now. It's like it's like it's tough, and like I'm not surprised to see people leaving the space because of kind of like what it's become for whatever reason. That's a whole different discussion. But the chart is what it is for a reason, and like this is this is essentially people's perspective on a chart telling you what they think about the future of this asset. And it's not good. It just isn't. Now, will there be killer trade setups in the future? Yeah, there will be. Like very extremely likely, right? But for the time being, bearish, no reason to be bullish. I want to see Bitcoin stop bleeding first. And when that happens, give alts a bit of time to reset. Will there be some probably pretty decent bounce backs on alts? Yes, there will be. And the thing I would say is and is again not financial advice, but like what I do is I focus on the stronger performing stuff, the stuff that had strength and gets affected by the broader market, and the stuff that like people are really interested in. One that stands out to me, which I have not taken a single trade on, full disclosure, but one that I am keen on starting to trade is hype, the hyper liquid. That's one that I am, that is, it's doing different things, right? I mean, you look at the chart, it's doing different stuff. It's not, it's not, it was affected the same way back here, but like it's doing different stuff. It's showing, it's trying to actually, it's actually like not having a bad day considering what's going on in the rest of the market. So like that's one that's interesting to me. Solana's one that's interesting. It's a bit less interesting than it used to be, but I do think that that's one that could have better bounces than others, right? Like there's, even I hate to say it, but XRP also one that like I think, stuff like that, kind of like the stuff that was a bit stronger when Bitcoin had a lot of strength to it, the stuff that actually was moving and had better participation in, like that's the stuff that I would gravitate towards first. The stuff that has just been underperforming and didn't come close to making a new all-time high. I mean, this is one of them, right? Like it got up, it got. Yeah, here's your anchored view out from the high, by the way. Why I love it. This is literally your anchored view out from your all-time high, and I'll make this red just so it's easier, and honestly, it's just a more appropriate color for that. But like your anchored view out off of there literally comes up into that, and that's your high. That's like your major saving high, and that was at $11, made a high at 11.66. Now you're at $1. Like that's the point. But like, and dot. The prior cycle, it was at $55. We didn't get anywhere near that. So like most alts didn't come anywhere near their prior highs, and Bitcoin made significantly new all-time highs compared to its prior cycle. So it's just like when you think of it in those terms, it's really difficult to be bullish, like macro bullish on stuff that just couldn't, again, like does that, if there's like a fundamental reason the team's still building, yada yada yada, and like maybe like they're whatever it is, like maybe there's some that will stay relevant enough to be around and maybe at some future point make new all-time highs. I don't know, but I wouldn't hold my breath on a lot of these. I think a lot of these are in serious trouble. A lot of these are probably heading to zero, like a lot, like or close to zero. They never will be 0-0, but they could get close enough. It's just there's already like this last cycle, last year especially, like the alts have been a graveyard for the most part, and I don't see it getting better. I just don't see it getting better, and for like those specific names, again, there are going to be individual names that stand out. Hype is one of them. Like there's going to be individual names that stand out that do different things. I think Dogecoin is one that is, I think it will always be culturally relevant, right? I think Dogecoin is one that I wouldn't dismiss. Litecoin is another one. I already mentioned that earlier. Like at certain times, even Litecoin will lead. Like Litecoin did that, recently. Like it really, well, I mean, not super recently, but not very long ago. It had some really nice, tradable. It was getting a lot of attention. Like like there's certain ones that still are attractive to me to trade and keep tabs on. A lot of these other alts are in serious trouble, in my opinion. Does that mean that you're not going to get crazy nice bounces off of that? No, like there will be. It's just kind of the further down the list you get, the worse it is, I would say. Like again, Dot, I hate to say it because we're looking at it, but I would not put that in like a top tier altcoin. It's just not like, and it hasn't performed that way, right? Like a lot of the stuff that we see is in serious trouble and at risk of like going a lot lower than they even are today. This is what it is. Yeah, poor Dot. I had such long-term hope years ago. Yeah, it's the same. Like I thought Dot was I thought Dot was cool when it came out. And luckily I got to it pretty early. I mean, very early. Like before it was, I think I had to buy it. I'm trying to remember. It was like Hotbit or something. Like it wasn't on listed anywhere. It was like very early on that one. 2020, I think, right? Like but it's just, yeah, it's like, it's kind of like you can't force things to be great, right? It's like the market determines what happens to a lot of this stuff, and it just is what it is. It's like there's nothing, it's like you just trade what you're given, basically. I need to go to Discord. I'm trying to Somebody asked XRP. Okay, so I talked about the altcoin market. That was a request. We could take a quick look. This is another one I haven't looked at in a long time. Oh my god, XRP. XRP. Holy smokes. Yeah, I haven't looked at this one in a while. I would actually just clear these, get a bit better picture. Very bearish. But this is one that I think that like has you know, it's like it has staying power for whatever reason. You guys know how I feel about this, but it has staying power to a degree. This is bad though. Wow, this is bad. I mean, this is a pretty big high back here, but I wouldn't say that that's really that big a support. Go back on like a weekly. I mean, this is gonna be way, yeah, this is gonna be way down here. Maybe like since this last cycle, it's probably a bit more fair. Still bad, still down. Same exact. I mean, yeah, like this is very likely going below $1. I think if you go below this purple line, your prior, kind of like this prior high before like your big rise. I mean, again, like I wouldn't be that surprised to actually see XRP. And like this is, you know, I'm talking like if Bitcoin comes down significantly, like if Bitcoin comes into like the 50K range, I think you'll just see a lot more capitulation on a lot of these names. I mean, Sol's at $82. XRP's on 17% today. Like now again, I wouldn't be overly like this. I'm not saying short here by any means. Please like do not. I'm just, you know, not financial advice, but don't like that's probably a bad idea. But like, you know, this is the kind of stuff that like when we're seeing real weakness in the market, it's like, you know, Bitcoin is down 10%, now down 9.5%. XRP is almost twice that, right? So like if Bitcoin was to move another, you know, 20% down, XRP could be 40% down. And that would not be asking that much, right? So again, 40% puts you, you know, 40 to 50% puts you back around like I wouldn't be surprised to see XRP retrace the entire pump fully. Now, is it a good opportunity there? I mean, you already undid most of the damage, right? So like if you're an XRP bull and you love XRP for whatever reason, I mean, I think if you retrace this entire pump, I don't know if that would change your mind how you feel about it, but you know, like if you wanted to, or maybe you're a great XRP trader and you were long here and you sold the exact high. I don't know what the scenario is. Either way, I just feel like it's pretty likely that this is going to come down like significantly even from here, and I wouldn't be surprised if it went back to like 60 cents, which is a pretty big support. That's like a pretty big rough area. This is literally like your macro value area high across the board. Doesn't matter really where you pull this from. This, you know, 60 cents is a really significant support and the literal base of this entire pump. The literal base. This is where it started. So, you know, if it does give you the full kind of like the full retrace, which would not shock me whatsoever, then, you know, maybe looking at XRP somewhere in this region to run it back. I mean, if that's your thing, then, you know, good luck. Like, I honestly, I don't mean like, I just, it's tough. And kind of the thing is like when we put in significant highs, so like here, you know, in 21, like, well, we did have another new high and, you know, yeah, so that's not really a good one. But I mean, here, kind of like even from here, $1.33, you see how much time this took, right? Like it took a lot of time. 1,085 days. You know, almost 1,100 days of down and sideways to build a base before this move. So if this again, if crypto continues to see weakness, which I think is pretty likely right now, this does not have to immediately re-reverse Like this could take some serious time between now and, again, Bitcoin might move up. XRP USD will probably follow, to a degree. But it's like this stuff it could take time. I don't know if I would expect it to take 1,000 days. Could it? Yes. But I don't know if I would expect that kind of a time frame. I don't really know. Um, but the point is, I would say from a technical level, I don't really want anything to do with this until, again, what I would like to see similar on Bitcoin is at least like give me some kind of range. Give me some kind of range to play. Okay? And like give me some nice solid support resistance. Give me a range to play, and then we can look at potential breakouts, etc. Like when the time comes. Like this is what's likely to happen, and this is what I want to see before I even touch something like this. Like to give me a solid reason to want to buy. So which this is gonna take time. So again, we're nowhere. I'm just saying if Bitcoin goes down another 20% or lower, Bitcoin could go, I mean, put on 40%. I don't know. What do you think XRP is gonna do? Think about that. It's unlikely to just match it. Like it's gonna be some multiplied version of whatever the rate of Bitcoin's descent is, and that from here is low. Okay. But is it another opportunity? Maybe. You think again, if you look at your favorite altcoin chart and kind of like put a bit of thought into like some of the stuff that I've said. Again, I don't claim that I'm going to be right. I just think I've been around long enough. I've seen this, and it's kind of it's like you try the best that you can, but you think about like how your alt has performed in relation to Bitcoin. It's kind of like easy to see like when the switch might flip back on, right? Maybe your alt starts performing well against Bitcoin. Maybe, whatever it is, or it's a lot worse than Bitcoin, which is the case for most of this stuff. And if you're thinking like you're bearish on Bitcoin, why would you be bullish on an altcoin? It's very unlikely. The only one, again, one of the very few unicorns in this there is hype. One of the very few that like is actually doing something different. But I'm just saying, it's like it's even tough to be bullish on that, like for a massive move when Bitcoin is declining 10% in a day. It's just extremely unlikely, right? It's not that strong. But if Bitcoin can cool off, range bound, stop the bleeding, stuff like hype could maybe pump pretty well. So that's, I would say look at the stronger stuff that is standing out, stuff that is actually trying to go against the trend of everything else, and that's probably not a bad area to look like for long trades. Because yeah, the alt market right now it's tough, but it's also very late to be like, I don't know about extremely bearish. I mean, I'm still very bearish on alts, and they've come down a lot, but they could, because I think that they could go a fair amount even lower, which is crazy to say, but kind of late to that. Right. The trying to think if there's you guys have any other questions? I cover everything. Been at it for 2 hours now, so I mean I can keep going, but like if there's any other questions, I think I covered the stuff that I saw, like in Discord VIP and anything here. I've covered that stuff, and I'm happy to look at anything else that you guys want to look at. If not, I'll probably wrap it up in a bit, just because it's been 2 hours. No questions. I didn't do that good of a job. It's gotta be questions. Yeah, I'm down for 50K Bitcoin. I am too, honestly. Like it's not the bad, like if you're looking at things from a high enough if you're looking at things from a high enough perspective, um, like a high enough time frame perspective, and if you're still bullish on Bitcoin long term, thinking it's going to make new highs at some point in the future. I mean, buying Bitcoin 50% off of its last all-time high is, if you have done that in prior cycles, prior times, you've done well, right? Is that the low? No, it hasn't ever been the low, but over time, those types of positioning has been favorable. So if you expect that to continue, and that's kind of your thesis, right, about Bitcoin, and that you expect it to go to, 200K, 300K, whatever it is, if you're buying a 50% discount off of its prior high, it's tough to argue that. Even if you don't think that the low is in, which I've said I don't, but that's like a natural place to be like, okay, like, stuff I sold a lot higher up, not a bad area to take a look at it. GME. GME. Let me see. I know this is one that we just talked about. This is one that Big Tig and I talk about, and if he was here right now, because I think he had to bounce or something. I don't know, Tig, I don't know if you're still here or not, but this is one that he is. I wish he was here right now because he would have all, like, this is one that you'll probably see. So like if you there the link is a bit up there in chat. It's the YouTube link for our new channel. So that will be Big Tig and it's called Barron Street Research. So it's going to be like a like fundamental analysis mixed with technical analysis. GameStop is one of the things that we will talk about. So I don't know how much I want to go into it here. I'll just stick to the technicals. But here, not bad. Like, so yearly pivot, like you've been in a long, it's trying to find its footing here. I know that there are some fundamental reasons that Big Tig is actually really excited about. That I don't want to speak for him on that. That's his thing. Me, again, if you guys know me for as long as you have, like, I care more about what the chart says, but the fundamentals often precede what happens on the chart, right? And I will say, Tig has done a phenomenal job with a lot of his fundamental analysis, and it has, like, he's very good at it. So again, I don't want to speak for him, but I know he's bullish on GameStop. Like, he's bullish on it. From a technical standpoint, you've come up and hit your pivot. The thing that I like about this, one of the positives, that you're above your point of control from this last cycle, like last crypto cycle, speculative, massive run to the upside. Like everybody and their grandma and grandpa were literally trading GameStop, right? And it's obviously come down a lot since then. But I do think, and again, this is kind of like the what you call, it's kind of like the trying to put in a nice low here. I do kind of like this, even a technical standpoint. I think it's okay as long as you're above your value area low, and which has been a really good. So like you have this range that's been forming, and you have kind of like your lower stab down, big spike up, and then your pullback, and like you've been using this value area low as a major support now going back into mid 2024. As long as you're above this level, it's not a bad idea, right? Like I think it's actually like a kind of a decent trade. So like if you were in it right now, I mean, even just here, which I would just use that, like, to me the stop is pretty, like, I would probably keep it something like this. Just it's a huge stop though. It's kind of the problem, right? It's like a very, very, very big stop. And like I kind of like, I would have already liked to have been long here, but really, like, you could be targeting something like that. And like the risk reward here is actually not bad. If 25% is too big, then you just size your trade, right? Like you have to size this according to like what would be acceptable to lose that. But like something like this, I could see panning out. And who knows? Maybe, I know, again, I don't want to get it. I'll let him cover that, which that is something that we will speak about very soon. Yeah, I can put that back in here. Let me try to. You do it? Won't do it. Try it from. I will put the link. It is, if you scroll up, I know it's kind of a pain, but it's in the chat. There's not like too much chat, but there is a link there. I will put it in the description of the video when this is done. I'll put it in there. I know, like, we'll be talking about it a lot more, obviously. But we probably will have some content coming out. Definitely, you know, maybe even by tomorrow, we might throw up a video on there. And I know GameStop is going to be one of the first ones that you're going to hear about. So I don't want to like spoil too much. But I do think like, you know, I don't think that this is a terrible trade setup. It's a bit late for me in terms of like, you know, wanting to enter here. And ideally, I would like it to get above the pivot. Like I would like to see a weekly close above the pivot. And like I'll just show you one thing. This is why I wouldn't use Ichimoku, because it's in a very, very, very obvious range, so it's not very helpful. But like ideally, you know, like this thing really isn't looking that great from like Ichimoku wise until it gets back above cloud, right? But again, it's not like super helpful. I just wanted to show you. I knew it would be a good example of like why I wouldn't use that. You know, on like a high time frame. But I would say, again, you put in a very good base at your value area low. You're just shy of $20. As long as that holds, and you know, honestly, if this was to come back down again to somewhere around like, you know, $21, $22, that would be, you know, if we get a bit of a retracement off of here, especially with continued weakness in equities, if that does happen, that's the thing I would be careful of. You know, if Nasdaq starts rolling over heavily and stuff like that, and then like this is probably, it might. I mean, I shouldn't say probably. It's likely that you're gonna get that pullback. But as long as you're above your point of control, especially like, yeah, like it's just, this isn't looking too bad. Putting in a decent base here, and I do think that at a minimum, like you'll probably get another rise at some point because you are forming this bit of a range here, right? So like I wouldn't mind a range. Well, I think Big Tech might be back home or whatever, if that's what I heard. But anyway, you know, I wouldn't. You get above your pivot, honestly, like mid 30s again. I think this looks decent. So, and I know he has again. There's gonna be a whole bunch of research and stuff published pretty soon on GameStat. So definitely don't miss it. That's a good one though, and this is one again. This is likely one that you'll see us kind of speaking about like often, like keeping tabs on. I know he really wanted to look at Galaxy. Galaxy's down huge. Like it's just Galaxy's down huge. That's one that we covered a while ago. Palantir. I think Palantir is nearing. It's nearing a potential buy. This is one that I know that's kind of like a hot name that people have been eyeball. You know, like people have been trading this one. I do really like gold. Like I do love 618 retests just on equities, especially. It's very well respected a lot of times. Like I love to take those trades. The nice thing about this one is it is kind of coming down into this potential support. And again, I say potential. There's only two tests, so it's not, you know, it's not. I wouldn't say it's like confirmed or anything like that. But I do think that there is like a decent bounce somewhere around here. The thing that I would like to see though is the anchored VWAP is a bit low. You know, last time you had the confluence of the anchored VWAP with this, like, you know, it kind of like making this point of contact here. So it's like I kind of would wish this was a little higher up, but 618 around $120, I'd pay a lot of attention to that. And I think that you could get even if it's just a short term bounce on Palantir, I think that like I would pay a lot of attention to 120. If it loses 120, big sign of weakness. Like I would well, if it loses 109, and this is going to continue to rise over time, but if it loses 109, like, yeah. um, I think I think it's very likely that Palantir you'll see continued weakness here, at least to come down near this test. You're close enough to close enough. I mean, you do have like a weekly level here, like maybe get a little bounce here. I just think I would want to see this a little bit lower, and then maybe give a nice bounce. Yeah, well, here's your key, June. Again, hey, same thing here. Maybe it. I don't know. Kind of the same thing last time. Bounce a little bit lower, and then big run up. Does it try to kind of pull itself back from the same positioning here? I don't know. I just feel like it goes a bit lower. You got your reversion, new high. You like to see it pick up the footing here. It's okay if it goes a little bit lower, and then a reclaim would be really nice. But I'm curious how this looks on the daily. Yeah, awful. This is what you don't want to see. Okay, so like, this is the danger. This is what's not good. Is this thing has been bullish for a long time now, and the clouds never flipped bearish once, and it just did. So you obviously got your bearish TK cross, close below. You even got your mean reversion here to your Tenkin. Look at that. Like literally bounce off of your anchored VWAP, push up into your Tenkin, and just, oh my goodness, just like hideous rejection there. Very bearish right now. Is it overdone? Like, that's why I kind of like this. If we get the positioning, you know, if it kind of comes down again into this, I think that that's a decent area to look for at least some kind of a bounce. Is it like a major, massive bounce? I mean, it was like somewhere off your 618. Yeah, I guess that's pretty sizable. Because I could see something like that where you essentially you get your 618 test and then a nice bounce into like where your you know, wherever your equilibrium would be at that point. I do like that, and I do think that that's possible. Because Palantir, again, hot name. There's a lot of weakness right now. And this is very bad, but I wouldn't mind, you know, like something like this is it's not, you know, I don't think it's that bad of a trade. Or if you kind of wanted to miss, like if you're bearish on, you know, stuff across the board, and you think that we're going lower, you want to short rips or something, I do think what I would say is I think this is a good area to look for a rip and to give you, you know, another like a lower high or something like that. Another short. Oh, thanks, Tig. There you go. You just posted the link. So yeah, that's the link to our channel, our new channel. I'll still be doing trade outs, of course. Like nothing will change for this. It's just, you know, that'll be another avenue that you'll see me doing similar stuff, but like more traditional market focus. So Tig, while you were gone, I don't know if you saw in chat, you asked about GME. So I did cover the chart briefly. There wasn't like a whole lot to talk about, but yeah, it's like I did mention that that's probably gonna be an article. You know, that's gonna be some research that comes out soon that people will see. So
yeah,
I know you've been dying to do that one, but
GameStop is definitely looking interesting.
Yeah. So
and not for the reasons a lot of people probably think.
Yeah. So it's a little teaser, but yeah. I mean, it's enough of a teaser to get me to look at GameStop. For everybody who's been here, you know how I feel about stuff like that. So it's enough for me to get me to even be like, huh, maybe there is something here. But anyway, Palantir, that's what I'd say. I would think, could we bounce from around here? Yes. I do think that it would be nice just to kind of get the 618 test over with. If we get that, I think that the probability of a decent bounce off of like a first kind of leg down is pretty, like, I like stuff like that. And I see that play out, you know, pretty frequently, and especially in stocks. But does it mean that this is a major, massive new low? Not necessarily.
Getting close to these boxes, huh?
Yeah, I know.
I see a pattern for me.
Yeah, I know. That's true, though. That's a good point, too. It's like, it is like maybe we're kind of close to a little bit of relief. But the thing about this is that's different is, you know, again, we did come below cloud even here very briefly. But the cloud itself didn't flip bearish. That's a big differentiator. So like you did have a bearish TK cross here because you started to form this range. So like it was like a range that formed. You got this closure below cloud and even this spike down into the support, and you got a crazy bounce, new all-time highs, blah, blah, blah. But what you didn't get is your cloud flipping bearish. Here, it is bearish. So you got everything bad. Like this is all, well, depends on what side of the trade you're on, but like everything's bearish. Like you have, and again, cloud hasn't been bearish this entire run up. So Palantir's entire move You've never seen your cloud flip. Now you have full. Like this is everything, right? This is very, very, this is telling you that you're likely to see a trend the other way, at least for a while. Where are you wrong? Above 180. You get back above 180, you're probably wrong. Which is a long ways from here, but that's just how things are right now. And this, as this at least ranges, or it does, if it keeps trending, lower, like again, if we get a bounce into another lower high, then it makes another lower low, blah, blah, blah. Like you're going to see cloud start to work its way down, and then kind of like your point of reference, like your point of like flipping, like, bullish to bearish, looking for new highs or something like that, it'll start to trend down with it, right? So it won't be as bad. This is a fresh breakdown. So you haven't had time, which Ichimoku has a big time component too, but you haven't had time to like get these to, follow suit. Like that will come. But for now, it's a very extreme move, one directional. You have all your bearish Kumo twist, bearish ticket cross, price below cloud, Chiku spans below cloud. Like this is yeah, it's not good. But I do think that we're close to a bounce. £4 here into, again, I kind of am looking at something like this. We're like bounce into around your 618, kind of around where this trend line is. It overextends the trend line a little bit. That's okay. And see if you have the strength to give you some kind of mean reversion for another short trade, something like that. Because this was a short trade, like this. So your last short trade was this. Literally, this was a picture perfect short opportunity here. And if given something similar, where you got this quick snapback, and like this from the low up here was almost 14%. That's a big move, right? So it's certainly possible to give you another like big move higher into another potential lower high, like, as especially like if some of these things were, your pivots here, your other anchored VWAP is here. If these start to trend lower, which they will, you just got to give it a bit of time, and then you get your snapback into all of that, and that's like could be another very good short trade at some point. Or point of like, if you get above that change of behavior, maybe things aren't so bad. But the next trade on Palantir is kind of like a potential long into a short, because the trend is telling you that it's flipped, right? So the correct side of the trend here is short. Anyway, more to come on this one. I imagine next week we'll be revisiting this, because the way things have been going, maybe it'll be tomorrow. I don't know, but it's not looking the best. But there's stuff like this that's doing different things, okay? So like, and I've been in Walmart for a while now, and this is one that I love. It's getting a little extended here. I just think it's getting a bit of love, to be honest with you, because it's just stuff. It's kind of like the trustworthy names that just kind of do their thing and are benefiting from kind of the current climate. It just kind of has a lot going for it. Stocks at new all-time highs, continues to make new all-time highs. Is it a bit extended here? Yeah, probably. Wouldn't be surprised if we get a bit of a pullback. We even took out this doji from yesterday. We took out both sides. This is typically like, a little. I wouldn't be surprised if we get a bit of a pullback from here. But Walmart overall has been very strong. Especially like on higher time frames. I mean, here you got like your nice bullish cross, big move up on the weekly. Look at this. This is beautiful. My goodness, this is beautiful. So like you got your mean reversion down here to $80, new all-time highs. Trend looks phenomenal. Look here. Okay, this is why I like Ichimoku. Here. If you're waiting for a pullback on Walmart, yeah, this is a name that I like. And I've liked for a long time now, but like if you get another pullback, one place to look in the future is just wherever this Kijun ends up being, right? Like at some point that will end. And just like Palantir, at some point that will end and the trend will probably flip, but these things can't go on for a while, And kind of, again, in the current climate, it's kind of names like Walmart that are doing well. Waste Management is another one that's kind of got some love. I nailed this one. But and the thing that I like about this, looking at Waste Management, like right here, is that you're above cloud again. You're kind of like flipping your pivot, your EQ point, like your Kijun here into support. What I want to see now is get this Tenkin bullishly crossed above here while prices above cloud. Like that's all signs for good. Um, that's what I would want to see to call like new all-time highs and probably like another nice trending move on waste management when it's been in a range for almost 2 years now, right? Like it's been sideways for 2 years. If you can get this bullish TK recross above cloud, likely you're going to see a new all-time high and another nice kind of trending move. And I'm going to be very good about that one because I am got a very, very, very good entry on that. Tesla is one that this is one that I don't like to talk about because I haven't done a stream recently where I've spoke about it. I mean, Tig will verify this, but I sold at 480. So I hate to say that because oh sure you did because I get it, but like I did sell. I'm waiting for a pullback. It came right into the pivot. I thought about it, and the only reason like I try to have patience with stuff, and with Tesla, patience usually pays off because for me, I know this is kind of a messy chart. I think if this gets below 360, especially, like I would be like, oh my goodness, like you don't understand. Like this thing has been in a great channel, right? We came close to the channel highs, but we took out this prior all-time high, which is why we were seeing some weakness around here. And my initial target was above 500. It was 500 or above. I really, really wanted to see the top of this get hit again. But we just saw a lot of choppiness here, so I decided to cut it, and it was a good move. And full disclosure, I was a little worried about cutting my trade. Like I didn't really want to. So I'm not gonna act like I nailed the top. Like this was probably 50% luck. Okay, it was luck and gut feeling, but around prior all-time highs, especially after significant moves like this, they're just natural points of danger. Okay, when you come around these levels, what you usually want to see is a clear break, like a clear break, and like that is making it obvious to you that this level isn't really that important. And as you can see here, we spent some time, and it worried me, and I was correct about that. But like I was not like and the thing is, we were so close to the top of the channel. I was good enough anyway. Like I kind of like to try to be as correct as I can be, but I felt like enough was enough. I was long from significantly lower, and I was just like, all right, I'll stop it here. And even if Tesla continued to new highs, I would just look for structure and try to get back in. It was really that easy. But now looking for an entry on the stuff, on my position that I sold at 480, we're almost $100 below that at this point. We did tag the yearly pivot, which you can see was a perfect, literal perfect support so far. But I'm not I think I'm going to continue to remain a bit patient because the overall market is, I see problems potentially, right? Like this is one that I might regret this, but I haven't rebought anything yet. I thought about it today, kind of wrestled with it a little bit because long term, Tesla is one of those things that I just think is going to be it's going to be extremely, extremely valuable. I think it's undervalued here. Not financial advice. I keep having to say that, but it's the truth. Like I am very, very bullish on Tesla long term. But also the trader in me, like I have to I wrestle with that with stuff like this because like I don't want to be left behind. It's like a real thing, right? Like it's literally what I don't teach. Um, but it feels weird to not have a Tesla long, put it that way. Um, but I'm gonna be patient, and I want to again let it prove to me that um, it deserves a position. And right now it doesn't. Like it's coming off the pivot, perfect retest. I'm not that surprised by this at all, especially coming back, kind of around where these lows are. But just with the rest, what the rest of the market is doing right now, I see potential issues. Right? What do I want to see? I would love to see a move down to this prior high, which is also the anchor view up off of this April crash, April low, where everything got absolutely wrecked. I would love to see something like this where, and like that would give me a little bit more, kind of like your classic retest, resistance, break above, support retest here and then like a reaction. That would be a a decent thing, I would say. And what didn't Elon take? Elon bought like not that doesn't matter that much to me, but he bought like $1 billion or so. He bought like a lot of stock around here. It's like 360. It was literally right around here somewhere. This was what the pump was, I swear. Like if you go back, it was like news that Elon bought a bunch. Anyway, not that that matters that much to me, but I mean, if the guy's, he's bullish, I'm bullish. But I just think that there's a possibility that we see much lower on Tesla. And I know Tesla has just announced like some pretty significant they're like getting out of the car business to a degree. Like they're like discontinuing some of their models and they're like going full automation. Like they're, and like that is such a massive shift that I think a lot of people knew was coming at some point, but it's such a big shift for them that I think it carries a lot of execution risk too. And with Elon, there's always delays, I just think that like long term, let me tell you, I would love to get a real significant, like I would love to see significant weakness on Tesla just because I think I would love to buy it again, but there's a lot going on right now. And I think like, there's a lot to digest. So I'm not trying to jump into a position right now. Although I could see like if people were looking to long this, I get why, but I have a feeling I'm going to get a better entry. So, and like selling where I did, it gives me some room to change my mind. Like if I see something structurally that makes sense, be like, okay, that was probably a really good low, good easy invalidation, and look to run it back. Like I don't have that feeling yet. At a minimum, like what wouldn't be a bad one is this actually. Like if you got a swing failure pattern of this, like if this kind of like took the low and then came back, like that just gives you a very simple SFP, right? Like that's like, okay, that's probably worth a shot, like for me. And like I would look, I would probably look to take it up to like I wouldn't probably, I don't think I'd probably like hold that and try to get new all-time highs again. Um, but at least for a bounce, that would be the closest long setup. I think that is where price is right now would be something like this. You see that? I don't think it's a terrible trade. But in terms of like another long swing trade that I'm going to hold for, a year or longer, ideally I would like to do it from a bit lower, if not like a lot lower. I don't know if the Tesla gods are going to gift that to us or not. I have this feeling we might. All right. We're 2.5 hours into this stream. Covered a lot. How's Bitcoin doing? Oh, what do you know? Let's go back and look at Bitcoin. Sorry. Oh my goodness. New lows again. Who could have predicted that? Holy smokes. This is insane. Wow. Anyway, that's why. Not like, look, direction's pretty clear on where it's going. There are scalps to be had. I told you live that there wasn't one there for me, and I probably wouldn't have worked out very well for me. Maybe, I don't know. It's kind of hard to really say that when I'm streaming, but either way, new lows. What do you know? More weakness. Look at XRP, almost down 20% now. Like every alt is down 10+%. Zcash, oh my god, this is probably, I'm not gonna get into this, is gonna take me a little while if I do that one, but like that's down 16%. Just everything is down, my goodness. Is there anything not down? Atom, wow, Atom, 6%. It's the strongest performer that I see. Oh, Litecoin. Oh no, wait, wrong one. That's Litecoin ETH, sorry. Litecoin down 11%. But yeah, Atom. Wow. Only down 6%. Imagine that. Wow. So yeah, okay. I don't think that this is going to happen on stream because I'm probably going to wrap it up here. Unless anybody has any other questions, I'm happy to keep going. But my goodness, yeah. Lower until further notice, right? Oh my goodness, this is crazy. But yeah, like you can see like why I would love a bounce to short, right? Like this is, I mean, this like it's a gift if you get one. Literally, it's a gift. Anchored VWAP, break of it. I mean, like it's a gift if you can get in. The thing is, I'm just scalping, so like you know, in hindsight, I should have let that one run, but it's just there's yeah, lower. My goodness, just extreme weakness. Um, how are the indices? Not too bad. Not at the low. So like Nasdaq, like futures, not at the low. I mean, trying, not very well. SPX, yes. Well, I mean, same, but it's yeah, it's trying to not die fully here. Wow. Roblox looking worse. CTIG, I'm telling you, this thing's going to zero. Just kidding. Probably close though. I am so bearish on Roblox now. It's not even funny. Like fundamentally, you know, it's funny thing. I actually play it with my kids. Like, there's a few games on there that like I'll like they ask me to jump on and I'll play with them. But just the whole age thing. I haven't even talked to my wife about that yet. But like the whole age thing, somebody's gonna pay for that. Roblox, if you're listening, you better get your stuff in order because there's gonna be problems for you. Mark my words.
Yeah.
My 12-year-old daughter being paired with adults. We're gonna have a little discussion. And you know what? I'm glad your stock is literally. I'm gonna change these squiggly lines to just keep going down. That's how I'm getting upset right now talking about it. But yeah, my goodness. All right. I don't know. This has been a good stream. I've had a lot of fun. We're gonna do these a lot more frequently now. For those of you that are still here, if you could do me a massive favor and leave a comment, that really like helps the video with the algo. Okay, like trying to like be more active on YouTube again. So if you could do that for me, I would greatly appreciate it. And like the video, that also helps tremendously. And you know, like I said, like we're gonna do these a lot more frequently. And I've decided that, you know, like I mean, I'll still do the like the VIP streams, like you know, for like our group. I've known you guys for so long now. It's like I just, you know, like there'll always be things that we can jump in and take a look at. You guys are, you know, wanting to do that, but I do want to do a lot more public stuff just because it's like you know, it's a lot of time and there's so much going on now. And like I said this in VIP, but it's like this is the first time in some time, like the past week or so, that I'm like really interested in what's going on in crypto. And it ain't for a good reason, but it's like I've you know finally like we get something exciting, and something that's like you know relatively confirmed, right? It's like okay, so like it's things really are going down a lot, and it's like a good trading environment. But also it's like switching gears for me like mentally to say okay, so those targets that you had are coming, you know, they're like coming into play, and like it's time to pay attention. It's time to like look for positions. It's time to, you know, be researching stuff and seeing like what is there that like you're interested in for like the next run, right? Like whatever that is, whatever that looks like. um so but yeah, anyway, that's all I got. Oh my, no way, no way is the legend in chat. No way. We were just talking about you, Mr. Rogue Nomad. Oh my god, I miss that. Look at his name. Rogue Nomad 618, baby. They got the Fibonacci in there. Unbelievable. It's nice to see you. I'm gonna try to figure out where I have I gotta close this. That's where it is. Dude, Rogue Nomad, the absolute OG. We were just talking about you in VIP, Rogue. You know, whenever everybody misses you. So, like, amazing trader. I have never, in like my time of like teaching technical analysis and like helping, you know, trying to like, you know, being a mentor to a degree for like some people, I have never seen somebody progress like he has. Like absolute, like he guy has like an absolute like he is a phenomenal trader, like absolutely. So nice to see you. Um, anyway, I think that's it. Unless anybody's got any questions. Yeah, time to buy more. Yeah, like as far as Bitcoin goes, I guess that's what I'll wrap up with. It's just in terms of what's happening right now in the market, like it's lower until further notice, right? This is very bearish. Make no mistake about it. Bitcoin's down, 10-11% today. This isn't the time to be aggressively shorting these every single low that you get. I would say this is danger zone when you have this kind of like this big of a trending move down at this point. It's just not the smartest thing you could probably do. But if you're scalping on lower time frames, yes, like you can absolutely, like I just showed one, like again, I cut that short too early. I should have just left it, obviously. But when you go, the thing is, like when I go to sleep, I'm scalping in this type of environment where I'm seeing and I expect high volatility, and it can go either direction, and I'm expecting some kind of like pretty significant relief rally at some point soon. I don't like to hold those positions while I'm sleeping. So that's kind of it's unfortunate. I wake up, I only got 3 hours of sleep, by the way. My dog kept waking me up. But it's like during times like this, even though I think I'm right, like I don't like to hold them. I will just close it. Even if it's in good profit, I close it because I'm not going to be awake to like I don't. I've had it happen to me enough in these specific types of environments where it'll go against me, and I'll either won't make any profit on that trade, or I'll make way less than I probably should have if I just closed the damn thing and went to sleep. You know what I mean? And like reevaluate what the market looks like when I get back to the charts, and like find a new position. So that's basically what that was. And what it would have been a hell of a runner, honestly, if I left it. But yeah, I just this again, not financial advice. I bought some IBIT this morning. I am looking like this is the region coming down here. This is like where I am interested in picking up some spot Bitcoin to start establishing what I sold up at 100K and above, 100K to 104. That's all that this is. And to be honest with you, I will not, very unlikely, buy that entire position back even here. Like I will be very patient. My plan is, and this is for myself, my plan is to get back a decent part of that. That way, if we do get a nice pump, I can look to, and if I want to be a little bit more actively trading that because I think that it's just going to be another lower high, we're going to see lower, then like I can, then at least I have some long exposure, right? But ideally, my initial plan is not really to overtrade this much. Like my initial plan is for the spot holdings that I will be beginning to buy. Again, I bought a bit of IBIT, but like I'm talking like actual spot BTC. As my plan is really to hold that and kind of like fill the reserve back that I depleted all when I sold it. But I'm not gonna
Strategic
go.
reserve.
That's right. But I'm not gonna again. I'm not gonna. Yeah, the strategic reserve that the U.S. was supposed to have. Never mind. We won't get into that. That's for. I have a friend who, by the way, we should invite for that discussion because you guys would love his take on all that.
That'll be the rant show.
Yeah,
We'll
I'll
talk about
appropriately
Trump
name that, and we'll bring our friend on, and it'll be an
crypto.
amazing show. But anyway, that's kind of my thoughts. Here is an area to get back some of what I sold and get some exposure, even if we work our way lower, which I think is possible. I don't think it's. I'm not in the camp of like. It's kind of like for me, it's one step at a time. I'm, which is why I'm not worried. Like I'm not trying to go all in here, even though I think this is a pretty good technical area, and it's an area I've been waiting for. So like I'm okay. This is part of my plan, my personal trading plan, is to look at to pick some stuff, pick some of it back up here, so I have long exposure. I'll feel good about it. But if it goes lower, then I'll buy. I will, I'll likely continue to DCA that in. It's different. My spot Bitcoin holdings is different than my trading, when I'm trading move to move. It's like a separate pools of money, it's separate thought. I'm talking about just putting the Bitcoin hat on, Bitcoin investor hat, right? Like long term. You know, stuff that hopefully that I won't sell again until a new all-time high or something like that. This is that position that I'd like to get back. You know, unless again, like if I see some like blindingly obvious this is sell this spike because we're going lower again, that was a bad low, something like that, then I'll probably cut it and try to do it again. But this is kind of the area where I don't like to try to get too cute with what I'm doing, because I just, it's, you know, it's like trade the plan. It's like you get it, you come up with your, like what you think you're going to do, and when the time comes, you execute all of the thought that you put into that plan, right? Like just execute it. That's all that's left for me here. And then see what happens. Again, if we just breach right through this and nuke through it, then oh, there might be a decision I'll have to make. Do I cut what I bought here? If we start to break, you know, 51.50, something like that, which is a great Van Halen record, by the way. But that's dating me. But anyway, like if this comes down, like, do I really want to have held this? If I think that there's a high probability, I don't know. But I don't really want to overtrade this spot position that I'm starting to build either. So, but do I think it's a fair area to start DCing in? Yeah, you're down 50% off your high. Like it's, and if you're bullish on Bitcoin long term and you think that we're going to make new all-time highs again, it's like this is just, yeah, if you have done this in prior cycles, you would have come out okay. You know, you would have come out all right. So yeah. Anyway, that's my thoughts. And I'm happy to, again, if you guys want, I'm happy to share with you like literally where I'm buying, like as that progresses. And again, like if we see something where it comes down into my zone and I'm happy with it, even if it kind of chops around for a bit, gives us some kind of range, and then, you know, gives us like a little bit of a break, like whatever I don't fill here, okay. And it gives me something like this where I'm like, this was a nice base. And if we break this, I think that we're going to have a very meaningful rally. If I see something like this, I'll just buy at higher, you know, whatever I was holding back. You know, whatever I was holding back here, I wouldn't like, I'm okay buying higher if I think there's a reason to. If I think like, you know what, I actually think like this is a really good low, then I'm okay buying higher if the market, if like the chart is saying like that's like that's the probabilities are on your side. It is what it is. Um, but then at least I would have like more conviction to do that, right? Um, any new videos? I'm reading a comment. Any new videos on 3 commas DCA? You know, I thought about that. I thought about that, and to be honest with you, like I haven't used those bots in a while. Just because like alts have been so underperforming, you know what I'm saying, that like alts have been like, I've been bearish on altcoins, so I don't want to own them. In 2020, 2021, I wanted to own them because that's what was performing. There's like a difference, you know. um but is there still really good use for that? I would argue, yeah. And like, to be honest with you, which is, this is kind of boring in a way. It ain't boring today, I guarantee you that. But like, you know, if you had a DCA bot on Bitcoin, honestly, like I mean, I don't know, it depends where you started at, I guess. But like stuff like that, I think it's still applicable. I think on like, the funny part is like Bitcoin and ETH is probably where if I was to be running boss today, it'd probably be on Bitcoin and ETH and hype. Those are the three. Again, not advice, just saying like what I would do if it was me. But I don't think you know, again, for bots, I don't speak about them very much, just because it's not like my core, like, you know, like technical analysis is what I, you know, and like trading, like manually trading, that's my bread and butter. And I've kind of done a lot of bot content historically, and I feel like I don't have like a ton more to say, but like I could give updates on, which I'm happy to do. Like I could give updates in the form of like, what else would I look at? How would I set, you know, like how would I look to trade them? Like I'm happy to do that. Um, I'm no trader myself, but want to make money work and not sitting on one. Yeah, no, I agree with you. And like that was a big, thing for me. Um, on like why I did bots to begin with. I just like the timing. Like the timing of where I started at was really good. And again, like I was trading also, you know what I mean? Like the bots were running, and that's the thing is like I had the bots running, they were doing their thing. I love that it was all automated. It was like it was a good environment for that, you know, and they were printing really, really well. But I was also trading. Like that wasn't the bulk of my income. That wasn't the like it was just another thing. But what I loved about it again is it's 24/7. It trades all it's trading for you all the time as long as like the environment is like conducive to like that to that, you know. Lately, alts have been, I've said it, like they're bad. Whole
Mhm.
Bitcoin just broke 65. Oh my god, we really might get this live. Um, but you know, like again, altcoins have been really weak. There's I wouldn't there hasn't been a time for quite a while now where I would want to run bot on that. Is what I'm saying. Like I would not. And Bitcoin volatility was so low, so boring for so long that like even that, unless you had tight, so like just a few examples where I would one is like a grid bot on Bitcoin in those long ranges where it tends to stay for a while. Those can do very well. So I would say if you're using 3 commas, there like I would look more towards a grid bot for Bitcoin on certain circumstances. Not today, because like we're clearly trending, but like here, right? Like we spent a lot of time here. Oh my goodness! Like just zoom out. Like we spent a ton of time here. Like this would be a really good environment for something like that, especially if you don't mind owning either side of that, right? So if you're either all cash, if you're doing Bitcoin USD and you have USD, USDC or whatever you're trading, or Bitcoin and you don't mind holding either, like man, you're talking about crazy like 6 month long ranges on stuff. Having a grid bot during a time like this probably would have done really well, right? It would have done probably pretty decently. Um, but on a day like today, you're, you know, depending on how you had it set up, like if you're not watching this stuff, you'd be in real trouble. Like, look at this. Oh my, 64.5. Just let gravity take over sometimes. I'll tell you, like, don't step in front. Like, yes, we gotta be careful, like stepping in front of moves like this. Bic or ETH about to break. Here it is, about to break 19. So in the 1800s now again, which I think ETH could go a lot lower. That I'll save for another video because we're about 3 hours here. I should really cut this one soon. But ETH we'll do in the next stream. Bitcoin coming down. I mean, again, like, do we? And for anybody who's just joining, again, this is not what I expect to happen. This is what I'd like to have happen. Was a scenario that I talked about, like where if it came down, gave me a range, and then you know whatever I didn't allocate, you know whatever I didn't fill here that I was saving for lower, if it gave me a reason to get back in, I would do it. Or you know if it gave me a reason to like buy a lot more because I think we're going to get a really meaningful move, or this was some kind of like very significant low, then that's kind of what I would look for. But this not what I'm looking for to have happen right now. Um, I just like for this thing to like, you know, if we get, so here's what I would say. There's still 3 hours and 44 minutes left in this daily candle. I think that if we get continuation, we're already 12% down on Bitcoin, and Bitcoin is continuing to like this is like capitulation style move here. I think if we get a nice long wick, if you see this thing drop, you know, another five, even like I know this is a lot to say, but like if this thing manages to like really capitulate another like $5,000 or $10,000 like in the next 4 hours, which sounds really ridiculous, but it's like possible, right? I think that is likely to be a significant low for a little while. And then this scenario could actually play out. So this is what I would want, but I'd really want to see it happen today or early tomorrow. And by early tomorrow, I mean like in like 5 hours from now, something like that. Like I'd want to see that kind of happen pretty soon. Long wick, strong buyback, and then what that would signal to me is that the low is likely in for a little bit. Doesn't mean we ain't going lower over time, but it just means that that's likely a pretty good capitulatory low, and then we can at least look to range. Um, you know, like some examples, like this is a good one. Although this is, I mean, this wouldn't be a bad thing. You know what I mean? Where like you get a nice short, like a nice rotation back down, but that's I'm trying to look at like other older examples like this. This is literally, I mean, this is literally like where we are too, right? Potentially. Um, but like I would like this, a long capitulatory wick, and then you get a range. You get a very simple range to trade, and then it breaks down again. It gives you like close to your macro lows, right? But like this is what I'm talking about. We get a long wick, signals like a pretty good low, and then you just kind of expect for a range. It's not going to look perfect like that. I mean, this is perfect, but it's not going to look exactly like that. But that's just like that's a decent idea of kind of what I'm talking about here. It's like you want like a long wick, jeez, you know, long wick, good buyback, and then just something that says, hey, you know, the time to be like overly bearish is not probably here right now. It's time to like at least look for some sideways, maybe even like a potential relief rally, but like likely just at least some kind of like slow down in this very one directional move that we've seen, and then reevaluate and at least look for some kind of range. Maybe ends up being something like this. I don't know. But you know, if the trend is any indication, and the trend is your friend, that's a very important rule for me. Um, you know, it could, you know, it would probably mark off a temporary bottom. I would at least say it would stop the bleeding for a while, maybe a few weeks, something like that. Give you some kind of like nice range to trade, and then again, you would have like very clear levels of where you would look for continuation. If that was the point, then you know we'll cross that bridge when we get there. That's just kind of what I'm expecting here. On a day where Bitcoin's down 12%, that's significant. If you see any further, you know, which stocks are about to close here in like 40 minutes. You see any real like significant drops from here, especially into kind of the support region, I just think it's a it's a decent area to stop the bleeding for now. Just past 3 hours. What a stream! Thank you guys for being here. I think I'm gonna wrap it up there. Wow, that was a lot. But yeah, well, again, if you're in Discord, I'm there. You can tag me, by the way. I don't speak too much like in the like I don't speak too much like so like again, if you're in Discord, there is a separate section that like it's VIP. It's where a lot of people have access to like for years, but like that's where I'm easily accessible. But if you need something from me, or like if you want me to take a look at something, you know, again, tag me in chat and I'm happy to answer it. I just don't always like look there. And I haven't been overly active, just like on YouTube, same thing. I've been more active lately. Going to be extremely active this year though, because there's, you know, I'm excited to be back. But yeah, thank you for being here too. Just reading the comments. Absolutely, it was a 3-hour marathon. This is probably twice what like our VIP live streams have been. Like usually they're an hour and a half long. But there's just a lot. There's a lot going on, and there will be a lot going on. Like this if you're not paying attention right now, like I mean, if like yeah, I don't know. Just this is a time to like really be watching, because I think that like this is the time where the opportunities are given to you. You know what I mean? Like if you're patient and you've been waiting for something like this is the time to like to have your trades planned out, your areas, your zones planned out, and be ready to execute. Because I mean, we just broke 64. Like it's yeah. Anyway. Yeah, my goodness. So we're almost at like the point of control, kind of like of this prior zone. So you know, again, maybe we get a little bit of a pit stop before we hit this green zone. If it's gonna come, it's gonna come from 63. But or do we just get like the full on? You know, this is basically like to me, this is basically capitulation already. But do we get like a 20% count? That's what I'd really like to see. I'd like to see like a real obvious. I want to see ETH down. I want to see ETH down like 25% in a day. I want to see Bitcoin down 18-20%. That's what I want to see. Because historically speaking, that's been like the marks of like, you know, at least like lows. There you go, 13%. It's I just gotta keep talking and it'll keep coming down. Um, no, but XRP down 23%. Like this is what I'm talking about. It's days like today that you really want to pay attention. And if you've noticed, just in the last couple of minutes, things are picking up. You know what I mean? Like a lot of these numbers are getting a lot bigger, and not in a good way if you're long. But anyway, I will see you guys in Discord or on Twitter. We'll, you know, we got a lot of videos soon. Again, Barron Street Research. If you haven't followed that, link is in the chat. there's going to be a lot of really high thought analysis on both the technical side and the fundamental side, that is different than anything that I've ever shown you, like from here. So it's and yeah, if I remember, you just need to go on vacation for the market to crash. Yeah, yeah. You know what's funny is that if my wife and daughter were home, I would actually probably would be on vacation right now. That's the thing. So like I'm planning on going. So here's a little bit of alpha, maybe a little bit of trip alpha, but I am kind of planning on going on a little vacation at the end of the month. So I don't know what that means. Maybe we come down here, we cool off for 3 weeks, something like that, and then who knows what happens. I'll let you know when I go on a trip though. That is usually a good sign. Beat down 1800. Man, look at this. Look at these numbers, guys. You don't see this very often. You don't see this very often, but the truth of this is when you see numbers that look this bad, and if they get worse, they're usually financial advice. I have to keep saying that, but they're usually opportunities. So with that, I'll leave you, and I'll see you on the next stream. Let me know in the comments if you like the stream, if there's anything else you'd like me to cover. Like the video if you could, helps the algos, helps the channel grow, that type of stuff. Greatly appreciate it. And